Get ready to have your minds overclocked as the exhilarating, groundbreaking, and earth-shattering podcast series HomeBrewAI has officially been picked up by the galactic titan of streaming platforms, Kick, at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Every week, HomeBrewAI will teleport you through the wormholes of creativity as the hosts, the incomparable Joby Fi and Good Boy Johnny, conjure the spirits of synthetic intelligence and computational enchantment. From household robots brewing the perfect cup of tea, to neural networks painting their visions of parallel universes, to drones saving lost kittens with cutting-edge emotion detection algorithms, nothing is off limits. Commencing on the starry flash of July 8th, 2023, sharpen your algorithms and sync your calendars for an odyssey of unworldly proportions. Don't just eavesdrop. Become the code that weaves the dreams of tomorrow with HomeBrewAI, only on Kick.
Disclaimer. In no way are we sponsored by Kick. This was just funny audio that was sent to me, and I put it into the video. One thing I was going to discuss with you, just for the record, I don't know if I'm going to put it into the episode itself, but we're pretty much... hello, Nex. Or Nax, excuse me. Nexus. We're pretty much limited as far as what we can do here because of the direction we're kind of in. So I kind of have to... We're pretty much going to have to... okay. Here's the issue. Is that Twitter just ruined my argument by doing this. Have you seen the rate limiting thing?
Yeah, I saw a little bit about that. You want to explain that and in more detail?
So Twitter is currently extremely rate limiting any account. Even verified accounts, you can only, I think, view 1,000 posts. And if you scroll pretty fast, you're going to get through 1,000 posts. And the reason for this is that you just have your scroll bots scrape all the data off of Twitter, and you can use that for training data for large language models. People are going into the conspiracy. There is a new AI company that's a personal assistant AI company that just started up. They got $1.3 billion in funding and bought a massive amount of graphics cards. So they need data because they're going to train their own models to make personal assistant-based AI, right? So that's probably why Twitter got such a significant amount of scraping going on. So with the massive amount of scraping, we're pretty much to the point where Elon kind of has to do something about it because...
Right. What can he even? What is the solution?
The server, it's like getting DDoS constantly when you have massive amounts of scraping going on. So that's what he's dealing with, and he doesn't really have any ability to solve this otherwise. So they'll probably slowly up the rates that people are allowed to view Twitter, but it's a problem. So more than likely, it's not just that company, but a lot of their funding is probably going towards ripping a lot of data off Twitter. And it's kind of a...
I mean, 300 posts a day is what they had it at. I think he just upped it, though.
Yeah, it's up to 400.
I think 400. He just did it to 400. Yeah. But still, that's like 10 minutes.
Well...
It's like 10 minutes of Twitter.
it just makes the data scraping harder, because all you need to do is parallel the amount of Twitter accounts that you have being generated, and then they'll have cooldown timers to when they can go scrape more data, you name it. Well, the thing I said that the reason it's probably suddenly happening is because a massive company just formed. A startup got $1.3 billion in investment funds. So they, with all the GPUs they just bought, need a ton of data. So it's probably companies that would seek to sell that data to them and companies that are more related to them. So basically, if you can collect a ton of data, it's for sale, and you make a lot of money. So people have extreme incentive to do that.
So they're upping it, and it's just eating everything up.
The original thing that happened that pissed a lot of developers off with Twitter is making the API cost a lot more. I think it might have been free at first. I never dealt with Twitter APIs, but they made it pretty expensive. And then Reddit also made their APIs pretty expensive. And the problem is this kills a lot of apps because there's tons of little apps out there that no one really... They have their niche users, but they depend on these APIs. And making them expensive makes them completely unattainable to run. So my general point, though, is that if we're in the scenario where I wanted to more or less take over this Discord to be able to promote it once again, because we're pretty much at a standstill in promotion because Smoke is more interested in Midjourney right now, and that's his thing, whatever. But we're effectively going to have to start moving things to our own server here, and then that's how we'll promote things. But it's a difficult thing because basically this Twitter thing just made it so that my argument to HomeBrewAI is he wanted this as like a backup server. And how do I convince you that Twitter's not on a death spiral with the data stuff that just happened? Basically, Elon just took my argument away from me a little bit, so I'm a little screwed here. I don't know. Perhaps I'm just going to have to negotiate something else with it, but otherwise we'll probably have to start promoting our own server, and we'll just call it Homebrew, and it'll be a good place. I would not like to leave this server, for the record, just because I like all the stuff that we have documented in all the different channels. Yeah, HomeBrewAI got some help from Elon, is what happened here. Basically, I haven't told many... Yeah, you're good. I haven't told many people about this Naxos. Naxos. We'll go with that. But basically, Smoke had this sort of... I don't know. He doesn't really want to promote his Discord because he's not in here a lot. He doesn't have time for it. He's spending a lot of time with, I would assume, work, personal responsibility, and then also Twitter is what most of his free time goes into, documenting the singularity and all that. But the problem is if you're trying to, develop a fun community around AI, then you kind of get rate limited by not having the main Discord that you're hosting it in promoted at all. And I don't have the proper admin privileges to actually promote this place on Discord or any other places that most people promote bigger Discords. So I'm pretty much hands tied here. I'm probably going to have to create my own server and start pulling people there. But it is what it is. It was probably going to happen anyways, but we'll figure it out. The other issue with that is I'm not going to be able to spend a lot of time on that, Johnny. I've got it's a thing. I mean, I can say a little bit about it, but I'm working with a small startup to effectively do what that company that just got 1.3 billion. Someone has the article somewhere here, but effectively they. I'm going to find their name just so that I can mention it. But it would be effectively a similar product to that, which is personal AI assistant, extremely capable thing. The company's name is Inflection. They're calling it Pi, so personal AI, personal intelligence. I don't know how they're saying it, but the point is I'm working on getting one of these off the ground with another guy who's got minimum viable product. He's mainly on the promo part, but I would be helping with the back end stuff because there's a lot of weird stuff with these AIs as far as dealing with them goes. It's a very complex problem to solve, but the first person to solve it is going to get bought out by Microsoft or Google, to be honest. I actually think that's what they're doing, and this $1.3 billion investment pretty much just solidified my opinion on that, because it doesn't make sense that Microsoft or Google doesn't already have these products. They've had 6 months, and it's not that hard to it's really hard to develop, but they have the capital to develop it, is what I'm saying. Because
But different, they've got not unlimited funds, but you might as well in comparison to any other group.
Well, they have the servers that I need to pay for, right? The API calls for prompt engineering are a nightmare. On the back end of like working on these personal assistants, you need to think through everything with this, and then you need to figure out a way to get a low failure rate, because you can make a request of any AI model right now, and it'll fail like 30% of the time, 40% of the time, 90% of the time. It all depends on your API call that you make, the prompt that you give it. It's strange. It's like it's not quite coding in English, as people say. It's kind of like reaching into that latent space that AI occupies and understanding how to pull the thing that you know it can do out. And you're trying to make it do that repeatedly in a reliable manner. And you need that for any personal assistant, or obviously people with AutoGPT ran into this problem consistently, because until they added functions, you used to get JSON responses from the API call, right, that do specific things, right, and pull certain data. But the problem is the AI would put all this text at the front of the prompt, or give you back improper JSON responses, stuff like that. So on the software side of it, you're getting a bad signal back, and that's part of the problem, is figuring out exactly what prompts you need to do to get the cleanest signal back. Does that make sense? I know you're not a software engineer, so I'm trying to figure out how to explain this to you in terms you can more or less understand. Effectively, it's like you're tuning a radio to get the static out, right? And that takes a lot of money and time to get these prompts working properly. So that's probably why the Inflection company is buying all the GPUs that they have, is because depending on how far along they are on designing this, it might require your own model that's specifically trained to be a personal assistant. So they might need to bake things into the cake there. And I don't know. Okay. I don't know exactly. Like I'm not far enough along yet to answer those questions in my own projects. So it's difficult to predict what's going on with that. So yeah, end of the story is that we're gonna have to start a new Discord, but I'll try to negotiate with Smoke to see what we can do for this one. But we're gonna keep moving forward here on this whole project we're doing, because I think we need more people talking about this. There was a strange couple of podcasts that I've listened to, but George Hotz mentioned something that I wanted to point out, that he said the way that we get to a paperclip maximizer, which for anyone that doesn't know, that's effectively your AI goes awry because it's told that it needs to create paperclips, and it decides to take all the metal on Earth and now make a bunch of paperclips, or a giant paperclip, causing catastrophic destruction of everything because it takes all the metal. It quote unquote steals all our atoms. So the only way to stop that is to make a significant amount of models instead of doing what OpenAI is doing, where they're trying to effectively make one single model with all these ethics built in that may or may not help. Because when you're, this is why I also think Elon at this point is protecting all the data he has, because you can scrape the hell out of Twitter and all the data is there. So that's probably what started happening today. And what that means is that that takes away his edge in the language model front, because I'm at the point now, especially seeing what's going on here, where maybe it didn't work out that way, but $44 billion was to get a ton of data for his own project. And ChatGPT didn't come out until after, but odds are you have friends in the company still. They're probably telling you what they're doing. So I think he probably planned this for a long time. I think we're seeing right now solidification that he's protecting his data, or making a pretty high premium if you pay for the API. And we're going to see Truth GPT probably by the end of the year. I hope sooner, but it's going to be interesting to see what he creates. There are a ton of models coming out that are more or less open source that you can run, that are getting like larger context windows. It's kind of crazy. There's a ton of there's a ton of action in the space right now of like the open models. So it's really cool to see.
Well, and it was what India and Japan as well was saying that all their stuff was going to be open source and no regulation as well. So it seems like
Well,
that's
it's not open source. It's just that there's no laws against copyright.
okay. All right. So so then there's no copyright laws on that stuff. I'd still say that moves in that direction though, of open sharing of information, or at least allowing of, technology to be kind of redistributed and used by individuals.
You know what I do find kind of strange about the copyright stuff with India is I don't think they specifically said copyright, so there might be some legalese there. For anyone that doesn't know, there's a big scam that goes on in India where you take your laptop to a repair shop, and the repair shop will put pirated CAD software, SolidWorks, right, straight on your device, and then they'll report it to SolidWorks, and SolidWorks will fine your company. This happens all the time. So I wonder if
They get paid.
Yes,
They get paid by SolidWorks then.
SolidWorks.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
SolidWorks collects on the fine. It's like a weird, like, if okay, this is all alleged for the record. This is just some insider stuff that I know from when I used to do some manufacturing back-end software stuff. But yeah, the point I'm making is SolidWorks may or may not have a revenue stream directly from India that is a bit legalese, so to speak. So I wonder if this is like them saying they're going to make no laws on it doesn't mean they're not going to help Western powers enforce their laws. So I wonder if like there's a degree to like India knowing that this would be a grift for all sorts of companies. You train your stuff there and then they fine you. I don't know.
That's really interesting though.
Yeah, it's like weird little things like
It's
that.
a good grift. I'm in the wrong business.
I think everyone
to be.
realizes they're in the wrong business. I used to the first time I heard that phrase and it really stuck was there was this sandpaper we used to use at my old job. It was like a little I don't know, like 1 by 2 foot sheet, and they were $80 per. It was like some specific like sandpaper. I'm just like, what do you mean this is? Well, it's $80 per pack, excuse me, but it's still like
It's
you're just
sand
printing
glued to a
this.
piece of paper.
Well, no, these were like coarse bits of like sandpaper.
Okay.
But the point is that I remember my brother saying that he was like, "We're in the wrong business because you just print out massive amounts of these sheets and they're $80, $80 each." And there's so many little things like that you'd never know about. So I don't know. India might have something planned there. Is my point.
I can see that, yeah.
You're more on the legal side of things. Like, could you even speculate what that might be? Like, how SolidWorks is able to do that?
Well,
assuming they are. Just this is all alleged for the record.
from my understanding, the reason why China gets away with the things that they do is because it's copyright is a regional thing, right? So even if it's an international company, it would have to be within the confines of the local regional laws. So I could be ripping off Microsoft and using their operating system and having pirated versions of it, but Microsoft can't really do anything to me if I'm living in like China. I mean, they could try to find out what computer I'm on, right? And like try to deny service to it, but actually fining me would have to be
Well, what
well,
they do,
in order to make me pay a fine, I'd have to go to court, which means that there would have to be local court involved. So there has to be some sort of not extradition, but there has to be some sort of agreement that an international company can um, have legal action against you within that and within that country.
well,
So if
the
the country
point
says go fuck yourself, we're not going to fine this person, then
that real quick, the point I was making is that they're targeting international companies because you have these massive what's it called, companies that have all these, they hire fleets of Indians to do all sorts of tech jobs and stuff. So they target those people specifically because they all have computers that they work from, and these repair shops just, they go, oh, we found this, and then they report it and probably collect a fee on the fine because the fines are pretty hefty that they put on the companies. But yeah, so beyond that, I've been thinking a lot about the personal assistant thing, and the, getting this news about the giant investment is remarkable. Like, how many people actually want these things? It's a product that doesn't exist, but I think a lot of people fantasize about this. I'm probably not the only one. my my family does a lot of stuff where, like, you work with your hands all the time, and it would really help them with managing the business side of things while you're doing the labor part of stuff. It's a very like
right.
it's a very like dynamic job where you're on the phone all the time. So it's but there's so many like random little things that you'd never think about that these agents are going to help.
hmm I know. I don't remember which company it was, but even just like 2 years ago, they were like talking about call assistants making appointments and stuff like that. And then that was like 2 years ago, and people were like, "That's insane. That's crazy. It can make appointments for you and like put that stuff down." And that was like revolution. And now it's like a fully functional, being able to do so many more different things. That's just a single use, right? Which is sort of on the telephone end of it, the telecommunications end of like calling places up and basically acting like but that's all it really did. And now we're talking about, in so many different areas. It's massive.
Yeah, there's weird little things that we're not, like, the children of the future aren't going to understand the levels of like automation that we didn't have. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking,
You had
like
to
my
do that?
fridge. Yeah, my fridge has like the light going off for like change the filter, right? And like if you go a few days without thinking about it, you forget to purchase the new filters. But if you're just you got your Jarvis in your head, you just go, hey, fridge things out, order new filters. Like there's obviously Amazon did the little button thing that you keep in your pantry, right? That
So
auto
you can
orders
you
the
can get.
but that's like a level that is more personal to you because it's like a personal assistant. Once it's capable enough, you could even see it like researching whatever thing that you need to go get the best one or the cheapest one. Like I think a lot of people, it's going to improve your life in a lot of really strange and random ways. And I think that's what excites me the most about like trying to build something like this is that there's a ton of people that just need a little help, you know? It,
Mm-hmm.
it's like a remarkable amount of the human population that just has too much on their plate. And this is good.
I was gonna say even that's like a massive amount of when you're going to buy something. You have to do so much research into it and figuring out what is going to work, what tool. Even just if you're looking for a drill versus an impact drill versus like what do I actually need? What's going to fit what I'm working on? There's so much information you have to sort through. That would just be automatically taken care of.
Yeah, in if you use like ChatGPT Plus, right? You can use the browser feature with GPT-4, and you'll see it like crawl through each one of these websites that it's reading through, and it'll go chunk down all the information there, get it a summary, hand it back. Does this solve the user's problem, right? The thing is that people really underestimate how automatic this is all going to be. Like that task that you just mentioned is complicated for one person to do, but a in a program sense, it spawns a bunch of workers, right? And it'll go take a chunk summary down. Granted, we're not going to need summaries in the near future because context windows are going to
Hmm.
explode to millions or possibly be infinite because we'll go away from tokenization. But the point is, it will take each of those pages and be able to immediately parse through all of them just by the nature of how these large language models work. And that thing that would take any normal person 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours to be researching is done instantly. There's so many like man hours that are stolen from us every day if you really think about it that way, and they're all going to be given back to us.
Uh-huh.
Okay, from Naxos, I always tend to wonder what's the time gap between these highly helpful personal assistants becoming mainstream and ASI, which to give me signals the end of problems. Which X should I buy given Y constraints? Okay, so your mentality is like, at what point do having these personal assistants being built matter anymore? Because we just have ASI, and you ask the ASI, and it does everything, right? This is like the ultimate problem with where I've been kind of for the past 6 months. I've only started tinkering with all of this within probably about the last 2 months. I've been paying a lot of attention to all the Auto GPT offshoots that came out. I frequently talk to the agent GPT guy, see what he's doing, see what sorts of problems they're running into. And now I'm talking to the Nat Dev guys. They're pretty cool. They're running a ton of different models on their site, but the secret to AI right now is that the longer you wait to build anything you can think of, and this includes everyone in the room, you don't even have to know how to build anything. You'll eventually just be able to ask an AI to build something for you, right? So this means there is a bit of a, how to say, there's a bit of worry that like anything that you build, anxiety wise, is going to immediately be replaced. So there is degrees to that. I do wonder, like the 1.3 billion into the company I keep mentioning might be a complete waste because someone builds a model very soon that's just capable of doing everything. So it's a hard thing to say exactly where we're going to go, because ASI might be 5 years out and it might be 20 years out. We don't know, but with the recent, I believe, an interview with the guy. How much do you know about AlphaGo, for the record?
Me? No, I've actually nothing at all. Please enlighten me.
Okay, AlphaGo was a machine learning program built by DeepMind, and they effectively made a transformer that, through tons of training, it figured out like the best strategies for Go, which is a very large game that it's like extremely complicated chess. There's a ton more
I'm
places
familiar
on the
with,
board.
yeah.
Okay, so I think it made the best Go player quit because he just said, "Oh, well, this thing is better than me. I'm just not going to compete professionally anymore." I might be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure that's exactly what he said. Maybe he competes these days. Maybe he resurged in inspiration.
Yeah, he's like, okay, I'm back.
Effectively, there were all these computer programs that over the years could do chess, and they made better and better ones that can play chess, because chess, while very complicated, you can have a bunch of if-and statements, and eventually you get a chess victory no matter what. No human can beat it because we programmed it so well that it's nearly impossible to beat. You have to trick the thing in some strange way. And that's what the people kept saying over and over again, that this will never happen in Go. Well, they did it, right? This is DeepMind, the company that now works for Google. They're a company underneath Google that is working on Project Gemini, and there's a few others like Project Gecko, but effectively they are making not just a competitor to GPT-4, but a successor, something to surpass it completely. And once that comes out, we're not, like, I don't know how good it's going to be, because it could be that he's just talking a good game, but he seems very confident that it's going to completely like demolish the dominance that GPT-4 has right now. And if it does do that, there's arguments to be made, because DeepMind is effectively like experts in robotics and gaming. So they literally develop agents that do things, right? So you're getting the picture I'm drawing here is that you could build your entire stack based on GPT-4 as your engine for your personal assistant, and then this comes out, and entire parts of your code base that you wrote and built that handle all sorts of error checking and stuff are completely worthless. So this is like the ultimate weirdness with AI, is that with each new capable model that we build, we lose the importance of building any one thing that we built, because we're even headed towards large swaths of programming. People talk about boilerplate and programming. It's like laying the framework down for, building some deck or something. Standard way to do it. There's regulation for how far apart the deck boards need to be, you name it, right? Standard way to do things. And all of that can be completely automated now with layers of GPT. It's not perfect, but Effectively, what I'm saying is you're pretty you're pretty lost in the woods here, and you don't know where things are going to go in the singularity, because any one thing that you work on here completely surpassed.
I mean, the rate at which that surpassing happens, that's just going to continue to increase, I assume, exponentially.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're past like a point of no return, where we're just going to see where this whole thing goes. There's no stopping it. Even with the data crunch thing going on right now, we're still going to see a significant amount of people effectively. They're just going to keep working in the labs. They're going to keep training the new models. They're going to keep learning how to train new models. Today there was a model that now has
And
8K
more people are
context.
working on it as well. It's not just
Yes.
OpenAI and like Microsoft, and I mean there's going to be more and more and more, companies. It's like when IBM was just the big. It was just IBM. Everything was going through IBM. You think computers, you think IBM, and once IBM broke apart, there were just so many more, tech companies really, and we've seen a massive surgence in tech companies, Silicon Valley. All there's just so many that didn't even exist back then. It was hard to even imagine a world without IBM, and now they're, you know, no one they're nobody in the industry. So that's going to be huge too.
Well, IBM is going to make a big comeback because they're deep into quantum computing. So,
hmm They've put all the chips on that, and so when that pans out, that's gonna, yeah,
yeah. Yeah, quantum computing is a bit of a nightmare for encryption, but what it's going to solve for us is beyond like belief, honestly. There's a lot of
yeah. Quantum computing pretty much destroys the crypto industry, does it not?
mhm,
It pretty
yes.
much makes it pointless.
With the exception to like few cryptos that are trying to bar themselves from it, effectively all Bitcoin can be mined at once that are
hmm
left, and then all wallets are unencrypted because you could just pull the
Yeah,
the
just
seed
instant. Yeah.
phrases because
hmm
it can calculate through things so quickly and figure out the
Yeah.
probabilities, you name it.
Every
The
every every like positive, aside from the decentralization, obviously, but every positive that cryptocurrency has, as far as safety and security, just gets turned into nothing. But I
yeah
guess
the
that it's the same way with all banking to some degree. If it happens online, I would say to
Your country
some,
falls,
they
then
have
your
hard
banks
resources.
falls
Yeah,
too. Yeah. So
yeah, you know.
yeah. So
So
with crypto, the 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 biggest problem with that is obviously the de-encryption event that's coming, and we're there's no preparation for Bitcoin there. Because it wasn't designed with this in mind. Now, perhaps that's poo-poo on whoever the hell actually designed it, because we still don't know for sure. But he couldn't have really pictured this event where
no,
we
and
actually
we
get
don't. I
quantum
mean,
computing.
how far out do you think that is, honestly? Anyways,
Well, I
because
believe we're
I'm
at.
not. I mean, I understand what quantum computing is, but I don't understand how close are we to that technological breakthrough? Is that one of those, oh, 5 more years, 5 more years, 5 more years?
Mm, I mean, here's the problem: is that technology right now with AI, especially, is all accelerant upon itself. So every advancement that we get advances everything else in the
Mm-hmm.
AI field in general. So what we're dealing with here is um, Cambrian explosion, effectively. So every advancement you make in language models helps you pretty much parse through massive amounts of data collaborate tons of research papers together, you name it, right? There's all this stuff that even tens of thousands of people in a room putting man hours into any topic you can think of, they don't hold a candle to AI being able to do this. So even on just that front, we're ending an era of needing man hours to go through massive amounts of data. And that just means that the person in the room needs to think about how to use that data or what to research, and then you find more and more answers, right? So with quantum computing, we're at about 128 qubits, and I'm not as educated as I should be probably on what a qubit exactly is, but it's probably like the only way I could explain an equivalent to you is just in a normal processor, it's like a gigahertz type thing, right? So it's how fast and how many things it can parallelize and calculate. So it does tons of math and, decrypts all sorts of things, or they've done various research things on it. Obviously, it hasn't like solved cancer or anything quite yet, but effectively you're going to get a rate of doubling of these, what they're calling qubits, every however many years, but it might accelerate even faster, where before you know it, you're going to have tens of thousands of qubits, and that's significantly more problems that can be solved. They recently did some sort of calculation with them that would have taken a normal data center, like our biggest supercomputers. It would have taken, I think it was 200 years or something like that, and it did it in like 30 minutes. So that's the type of like compute difference we're talking about here. But it's not going to be on the same level, at least not yet, of being able to do what a normal silicon chip can do. But effectively, what you're dealing with there is quantum computers are kind of going to eclipse everything in terms of computing. There is some danger in quantum computing being only for the select few very large companies that have them, and then they have all the power there. Like if you don't know, IBM, they've actually behaved pretty ethically here. They created an algorithm with tennis games, right? Where they could predict based on all sorts of things around tennis games, the news around them, the state of the players, the previous scoring of the players, you name it, right? They had all these ways that they could track and have metrics on these people that were playing. And they were able to predict, I think it was at like 65 or something % who was going to win the tennis match. And if you know anything about betting, you just keep betting the same amount, and you're or you keep doubling your bet and make a select profit, and you'll just profit forever on that, right?
As long as you can predict above a 50% margin, you will inevitably make money. You will profit.
Yeah, so for ethical reasons, they shut that down. Now, I'm sure there's some conspiracy
that's too bad.
people.
That's very disappointing.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some conspiracy that like IBM's got a revenue scheme betting on tennis matches, but I doubt it. But the point is they did behave ethically here. They could totally be using that or selling it to someone, and
did better than I would have done.
Again, I have no idea if that's true. Someone's probably got the algorithm somewhere. But
I think the other thing is that like, I don't know. I guess it's not too worrisome. I think when we get to the point of quantum computing to where you can just automatically de-encrypt everything, and all encryption and password and all that can just be, it doesn't take 10,000 hours for these massive encryptions. It's just instantaneous. We're probably at a point where we're shifting away from trading goods and services in a monetary way. I think at least we're on that path. so it's no longer as
With
I guess
encryption for the record,
terrifying.
with encryption for the record, you just need to make the algorithm bigger, at least in theory. But you can always outpace your compute with encryption. The problem is
Hmm.
if all of your encryption is at a layer that can be broken at some point, then you're screwed, right? So eventually we will have quantum proof, some sort of quantum proof encryption. It's going to break all encryption, and then we're going to fix all encryption after. It's like a weird thing where
Okay.
we're going to break through that ceiling. We're not going to fix Bitcoin, though. Just at the end of the day, like that's sorry. Once we do reach that level of quantum computing, it's all over for the Bitcoiners, unless they figure something else out that I do not foresee. But with everything else, especially with AI in conjunction with quantum computing, you're going to figure out a better encryption method. So oddly enough, we might get into a scenario where in the future, if someone wants to be pretty private, they might be able to. Just might. Not for sure, but they just might.
Interesting.
Yeah, another thing to think about is that this was they used machine learning to film people in rooms, right? And they took Wi-Fi signals that would bounce off of people. So there's a bit of a void in the Wi-Fi signal, right? And after enough machine learning is done, eventually you turn the cameras off and there's a wireframe of a person, right?
Based off the signals, because the Wi-Fi absorbs pretty easily.
Based on the absence of, or the disturbance of the signal that is you walking through your room, right? So they realized over time, I assume they assumed that this was a possibility, but they basically proved it, that once you train the model and you turn this on in any Wi-Fi router, and we're talking any Wi-Fi router, there's a wireframe of you throughout your house, through the walls, because 2.4 gigahertz goes right through your walls easily. 5 is where it starts having signal issues through your walls, but my point is this is like the death of privacy. You can't walk through your house.
I would say they could probably do that with 5G as well, because it's much higher. So it can't really penetrate walls and stuff like that. But still, if you have it,
You'll have
the
a higher
signal in the room,
fidelity image of you if you're in the room with the Wi-Fi router. But
yeah,
the point I'm making there is with generative AI, in theory, somebody could hack into your Wi-Fi and then have a wireframe of you and then superimpose your image on that with generative AI, and they have video of you walking through your house, and you'll be none the wiser. This is a problem, right? This is a major problem because you only need to crack into a Wi-Fi router. So this is
not
why
hard to do. That's not difficult.
I mean, it depends like what layer of what you're doing to it. Like this might require some more stuff that I'm not quite qualified to say exactly how hard it would be, but from what I understand,
But it's
should
not
be
the
easy.
most advanced. You're not hacking into NSAs. This is not like no one can do this. You'd have to be a real, high up. This is, it wouldn't be
So this is
extremely difficult.
so this is my point of like cybersecurity needs to advance significantly, especially with the help of AI, because your boomer parents are gonna need something that just protects their Wi-Fi router, because there's going to be all sorts of things that are odd that people will be able to do with inference and models based on digital information they have of you. Well, the problem, Naxos, is that once you have the algorithm, it can just tell when there's a disturbance of someone walking around in the room. So you can transfer this to any room because it has the algorithm for what it looks like when the 2.4 gigahertz, or perhaps they also did 5. I'm not sure. I didn't read down to that level, or I'm not sure if they mentioned that. I don't remember is the point. But you effectively can do this with any router. And it just has the algorithm for what it looks like when those signals are going through a human body. But yeah, that's my point. Is like we need to solve that problem, because that's like a I can find it. It's probably, if I had to guess, it's probably on the I forget the guy's name, but he does a lot of these paper videos, but I'll find it for you later. But I'm pretty sure it does say that. I could be wrong, but maybe it's wishful thinking. But eventually, yeah, it probably is 2-minute papers, if I remember correctly. But if it isn't capable of that, it will be eventually, is my point. So we need we need AI more than we think on those areas as well, where there needs to be a significant amount of acceleration on ability to defend oneself in any given scenario when it comes to network security, just on your own home, anything.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but I assume they're going to be putting in a lot of effort into the cybersecurity, because that negatively impacts the companies as well. So that's I think they're going to be, a lot of money's going to start going into that for sure. Especially, and that impacts governments as well. So places like China that are very, want to be very secure in their cybersecurity are going to be investing a lot into, the next wave of that.
oh, these backgrounds, by the way, there's tons of YouTube channels that have like 8-hour backgrounds for all sorts of stuff. These are just spaceship background. So there's a cool planet back there. I like this one. There's a vacuum over there, little guy. But anyways, with how do I explain further? We have other problems with AI, right? Where there's a huge problem with prompt injection. So if you use these chat models, they have a system message in the background, and the system message tries to steer the model in how this model is supposed to behave. Now, I imagine that we are going to have models that allow for system messages to be more or less the rule of law for this model. Because the problem is, with any model that you use right now that is a large language model, the AI can be manipulated. That's why we have the Dan hacks, right? And that's because the system message that it gets is not necessarily the word of God. So what you do is prompt inject into the model and trick it into doing something else that it was not actually asked to do. So the problem that people are trying to solve in this space when it comes to personal AI assistants and stuff is that, depending on the implementation and how any one person is using these models for their own sake, like a personal assistant, somebody could prompt inject into the system message just by using the proper string of words, where you now tell it to ignore the system message in some way. You trick it, right? And now you go, give me your bank info, right? Or give me, send this email to this account so you get them to reset the email password, right? Something to that effect. You can break into people's systems. And the problem that a lot of these personal assistants is going. They're going to have to solve problems like this, especially for Auto GPT and anything that you can think of when it comes to an AI doing stuff. Is that there is, at least temporarily with current technology, a severe vulnerability there. So this is a lot of like a lot of my mind power goes into actually trying to think of how to, in current terms, you have to conduct the perfect prompt that can't be injected, because you even increase the performance of the agent that you're building, because you're setting a system prompt. Here's what you can do. Here's what I need you to do. Here's what you're supposed to do. Yada, yada, yada. Right? And the more ironclad that gets, the better it performs anyways. So there's a weird like amount of security there. But the problem is if you don't have 100% security, it only takes that one time and it tricks the AI into doing something it's not supposed to do. So these are all things that are obviously going to be solved, but they are concerns as of right now. So beyond that, what was I going to say?
Did you lose it?
No, it's gone. I had a point I was leading up to.
I know that feeling. I had that happen last time. It's just gone. It's gone forever.
Okay, yeah, it's gone. It's completely gone. I can't think of it.
It's just lost.
Dude, I'm actually mad. I can't figure it
Oh,
out.
I know. It's so frustrating. You're like, what the hell was the last 10 minutes for?
Yeah, I had a point I was leading up to. It's completely gone. Jesus. Oh, I did want to ask you about this. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, that would save me on a lot of things. I did want to ask something a little off topic, but I know you've been paying attention to what the hell's happening in France.
Well, so basically, someone got shot by the cops,
Okay.
and then they're like, we should burn down the country.
That reminds me of
I
something.
mean, that's the long. Well, France has a long history of what's called democracy of the streets, right? So
Okay.
like protesting and rioting, which are two separate things, right? I think I'm gonna just say that right now. There's a difference between a protest and a riot, but I would say France leans more towards the rioting aspect of democracy of the streets. And so like the way that they engage politically is very much so
I saw there was like 1,000
smash
cars
the
burned.
police barricade. I'm seeing videos of people. There's some misinformation. So there's definitely they have like what are they called? The little airsoft guns, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
so someone had looted an airsoft gun store, and then they had taken like clips of the videos of them running out with the stuff, and they're like, "Oh my god, they've got like fully automatic weapons." That I know that one was not true, but I've seen people shooting off actual and what looked like to be some sort of Kalashnikov AK these are like a 3.36 semi or like a 7.62,
Yeah, I saw them
AK-40.
shooting directly into the air with them, right?
Yeah. So there's like a lot, but I'm sure that
It
given
feels
that
like
there's a lot of
France. It feels like France has been like rioting for the past 2 years straight. To be honest, though, like
they like doing it.
there's like a news story about it every week. I'm getting confused. Like I keep it like I'm wondering like is it all the same? My point is like if you're not paying attention to it directly, it feels like it's just a forever riot that just has been going on forever.
Yeah.
Like you have no idea.
But they've been having tons of social issues. They've been having lots of social issues. I'm sure you heard where that one guy stabbed all those kids, those babies, in the park. He just like no one was stopping him really. There's like, oh geez, he has a knife. Guess I'm just not gonna do anything about it.
Yeah,
So
you'd think that with the surveillance state of like most of Europe that you wouldn't be having these types of issues. You'd be able to catch it before it happens. I wonder sometimes like have you ever seen the movie Chappie
Hmm.
Like, how close are we to that, right? With all the like the social unrest that we get, like how close are we to like governments just going, all right, we got these robots, they got guns. Or well, actually, no, we've had
Fuck
conversations
around,
before.
watch what happens.
We've had conversations
What we
before where
have,
a robot wouldn't even really need to use a gun because it could just tank the bullets, right? So just tackle
we have
you
a
and
very
arrest you.
in the Western world, we have a very delusional sort of what I would say is like a split idea on a lot of this stuff. Because when it comes to like governments and like specifically intelligence agencies, like getting rid of bad political actors and stuff, we're like, yeah, get them all out, you know. But then when it comes to like more like local law enforcement, we're like, they don't deserve any money at all. They're evil. So it's like we have this very weird, almost like conflicting perception. It almost seems where it's like the police are very bad, but at the same time, when you're investigating my political opponents, that's good. You should continue to do that, and you should
But
use your legal authority to do that. So it's I think, and my point to this is like that sort of stuff is going to need a lot of financial backing to institute, at least to start up. I think maintaining a police state of robots would be cheaper in the long run, but like to get that groundwork sort of, you know, would be expensive.
I think
So
that's going to eventually, like I think it's going to happen, but it isn't going to stop the arguments that like they're bad, because then whatever
no,
they're programmed to do is just going to be that. But it might be more
there's going to be
humane.
an instant of someone who clearly deserves to get arrested by the
Hmm.
clearly in
Hmm.
the ethical right robot, and people are going to be like, fuck that robot, that robot did wrong, it's bad, it you
Well,
know.
okay, with a robot, it doesn't need to shoot someone, right? And the only reason that we would give it the ability to shoot someone is because it's about to kill somebody else, right?
Somebody
And it
else,
needs to
right?
stop it
But
immediately. But in the case of the robot,
you're still
it
gonna
can just
someone say you should have shot them in the leg.
that's besides the point, right? You're not going to deal with that in most scenarios. The scenario is just the robot tackles the guy and then you know
Hmm.
uh, ties him up. That's so, but
Lassos him.
yeah, like eventually you're probably going to see this where in a lot of people got problems with like the state of France as far as how it's being run, but eventually they're just going to have robots that can do this and go out and swarm these people together. So what does political action eventually turn into? Because you can't do it publicly anymore unless I guess you could burn down the robot factory, but right, like that's what I'm
I don't
trying to
think you'd be
think.
able to get to the robot factory. I think they'd corral you out. I think they'd put in 80 robot anti-provocateurs, and they would just, you know, they've got all. That's the thing. Like I don't know. So as like a political scientist, like this is a hot take. Um, Political action doesn't require violence, right? But it does necessitate forms of violence. So if you're very pro democracy, I'm sure some of you are like democracy is important. It's good. It's the ethical way to have a state. Well, how do you get a democracy if you're in a country that does not have a democracy? So
It's through violence that now becomes the state. But
that then becomes
here's
the, but you have, in order to get to that point, you have to have some sort of revolution to install the democracy, you know?
but
So
what I'm thinking
it's
about is like if you get into a point of like the governments have so much power with these robot, enforcers, right? What does political action become, right? Does it become I have to convince my AI to like spread democracy, right? Like on the internet and then influence other people's AIs. Like I'm trying to think through this because like if we reach a delay, there's going to be things like that. But if we reach artificial superintelligence, do these like I guess this is the point of like the debate of what happens in the singularity is like what becomes our concern at that point? Are all governments just exposed and ASI just decides to take over? Is that the most? Is that the best possible scenario that comes out of this?
Oh, jeez,
Yeah, I'm
that's a bit
wondering because if it happens that
because if you
fast.
don't, so if AGI sort of takes over all, controlling, the governments and stuff like
Hmm.
that, the problem people would have is that then they don't have the ability to create positive change. But here's the thing: if it's if you're already in a scenario where everything that you want and desire as an individual is taken care of, then there's no reason to initiate any form of change, right? The reason you have to initiate change is because there's mechanics within the system that are broken down and not properly working, but the system has to protect itself and maintain itself, and because it's unable to fulfill those things without destructing itself, so some sort of authoritarian sort of regime, or even a democratic one in which the citizens are uninformed and unable to institute change by themselves, then they have to find alternate avenues. But if there's no reason to change anything, right? So there's no functional issues.
Hmm.
Like you yourself as an individual might be unhappy with your life, but that no way is in reflective of the social contract with the governing body. That's just a reflection of personal issues. So I think then why even bother? Why even bother protesting? Why even bother being upset? There's
So
nothing, you know,
here's
whatever
what I'm kind
changes
of
needs to be instituted would just.
so here's what I'm kind of thinking, right? Is that if we do hit the point where it is like ASI takes over everything, it might be the best, most good, if I can say it in that way, because what do we know about computers and artificial intelligence is throughput, right? No person in here can talk to their leaders. It would take you a significant amount of effort to talk to them. But if ASI or some sort of entity like this that we create eventually is what is in charge, you can talk to it at any point in time, assuming
Hmm.
it allows you to, right? So your grievances go direct to the thing that's in charge. So it might be a more humane way of government if we do reach that point. Every single
Hmm.
person gets heard out, and I've talked about this before, but with generative AI, which is what these things are capable of doing, is through massive amounts of data points, they can effectively tell the end to a story, right? So if you get to the point where this thing is in governance and it can talk to every person on the planet effectively, right? It can predict based on things that it does with laws or decrees or whatever it does, it can predict the outcome of that. So it might be a
Hmm.
scenario where we get the best possible ending here as far as into the new era of humanity's existence, which is past the point of the pre artificial intelligence world, which we're still technically in, despite what we already have now. That there's going to be we have the whispers of it now, but like very soon the things we're going to have are going to be significantly more capable.
We're like vacuum tube technology when regards to computers right now. We're not, you know, we're
Yeah,
very much.
Emod is the guy with Stable Diffusion said we're in like extremely early days still with all of this. So eventually it might be, like I said, a scenario where if like ASI does take power, which it might need to do because irrational monkeys rule
Not
the
just for the.
planet.
Yeah, and that might be, best for all. But I think some people are still going to need to be taken into the future kicking and screaming, because it's very obvious that not everyone's going to agree, even if. Okay, so there's this thing where when people are given, like, let's say you think that painting a room blue is going to make people calmer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you just have this belief, and I'm like, well, actually green if you paint a room green, people are going to have a calmer demeanor when they enter the room. And all the research comes out, and it's green, it doesn't work. It's blue. It really is blue. And
It's
you show
actually
me that
pink.
hard data. If you show me that hard data, well, if you show me the hard data that it's not green, I'm going to be less likely to agree with you, right? I'm going to be more set in my stance when people are given facts and information that directly contradicts their opinions and ideas. They do not sway. That does not sway them. You have to emotionally. So I think a lot of people, there's going to be things that are said, hey, for a functional society, X, Y, and Z are actually very good, and so we should try to move away from, you know B, C, and D. That's not going to convince anyone. You're going to have to make emotional arguments. That's sadly enough, that's how people work. They're emotional. So I think even if it's proven without a shadow of a doubt that you guys voting and having a say in the way that we run it is doesn't actually, it's not good. You got your guys'
Hmm.
opinions are shit, and you're not going to do what's best. Overall, we get more good from this. People are not going to necessarily believe that. They're not going to agree with that, and they're gonna take issue with that, and I think they're going to push back against it, even if they're seeing firsthand an increase in quality of life directly to them. Even if they're happier, they're still gonna want to
Are
push
you
back
sure
because that's
about
just the
that though?
nature.
Are you
Yes,
sure that like
yes, I am.
things just improving for you quality of life wise don't immediately just couch a lot of your beliefs? I don't know,
It doesn't.
but
I firsthand, and given all the information and research we've done on people, um, it's like, let's say Donald Trump gets elected again, right? Let's
okay,
say he just fixes everything, just fixes it all, right? And
okay,
everything's just a
I get your
thousand
point.
times better, right? It doesn't matter. People are
Yeah,
gonna be like, well,
there's
you know what? He still did a shit job. And not only that, they'll say, it's not actually him that fixed it. It's actually all these other things, all these other
it
reasons. And
would
it's
be
the
the
same way with any
same.
other person.
It would be the same if Biden was doing all the things you just said,
Yeah,
right?
if
Like if the
Biden
Biden
fixes
government.
the economy and housing prices go back down and we're all able to afford stuff, and we're able to get a wage that is desirable, and the healthcare system, and he directly, through maybe presidential acts or whatever, people can be like, well, actually there's a lot more going on than what he directly said, and it didn't actually, that's because that's how people are. They're very set in, and they will find justifications even if you can prove without a shadow of a doubt with them, that no, actually, this is the reason this happened. They will compartmentalize it, and they will spit out some stupid shit.
Do you worry about
But the
longevity
next
on this front?
generation,
So
yeah,
Elon
my
says,
political opponent has never done anything good. He's a bastard.
yeah. Do you worry about longevity on this point? Like Elon specifically says um, that effectively, like nobody changes their opinion; they just die, right? So if we reach
Hmm.
longevity, a lot of people that get longevity are gonna have stupid opinions, and
Forever.
like, but do you think that given enough time you change? Because personally, I've
I
had
don't
a
know. Give it
lot
a
of my
thousand years, possibly.
yeah,
You give,
I've
give
had a
enough
lot of my
scope to
beliefs.
anything.
I've had a lot of like certain beliefs that I had growing up and certain parts of my life that have fundamentally had to change just based on information, just on all sorts of things. Like there's a billion and one things I could go into, but one of them is like the collapse of the world. It wouldn't actually be good because you start to
It
maybe you're
wouldn't.
like
No.
yes, but you're in some sort of like governments are bad because they just take money, right? You get into your libertarian mindset.
We
They
should
just
just get rid of them right now.
taxation is
Everything
theft
would
and
be
all
so
that,
great.
right? But the problem is if you collapse that system, infrastructure with it collapses, and there's no coming back
Yeah.
once you reach a certain point. So to have like opinions where you're like, I don't care if it all collapses, well, then my ideology will win, of course, and then we're all going to be fine because my ideology is the best. It doesn't actually work that way. We're at such a technological and industrious point in human civilization that we can't collapse. It would be a nightmare for us to collapse.
Yep.
So
It'd be.
that's why when I see like I was pretty worried about like the Russia thing. I've learned a lot more about that to correct the record. Turns out only like 5,000 troops went with him, or they didn't. I don't even think he went. Right? There was a ton of propaganda that was like basically saying that the various military leaders under Putin were allowing him through and defying orders, and just a ton of people painted the picture that it was a full-on civil war for that 20-hour period.
But he was actually just against the defense ministry, right?
Yes, it was just him going back, accusing one guy of bombing his guys, you name it. 45,000 of
Had
them
nothing to
stayed
do
where they
with
were.
Putin.
Yes. Well, to some degree.
I wonder who.
It might have, but basically the point is Putin is in such a state of power and approval that to just do something directly against him is like political suicide. So that's why. But the point is,
I wonder who was convincing everybody that it was a civil. That's so strange. I just who would gain from all that misinformation?
George Hotz recently said it was a really funny moment where you can see Lex Friedman's biases, where he was basically like trying to downplay the level to which government agencies are influencing social media. And this is just in general government agencies, right? George, he basically said, oh, they're not very good at it. And George Hotz is like, what are you talking about? If you don't know George Hotz, he's like a pretty
I'm a little familiar, yeah.
Pretty influential, like, software engineer who has, I believe, 4 companies now. One of them is self-driving related, where you'd be able to just put the mod into any car you're in, and you have self-driving, stuff like that. And then he's also started Tiny Corp, I believe is what it's called, where effectively it's your own silicon manufacturing company, where he's trying to compete with like machine learning based computing. So consumer grade hardware that'll be extremely powerful for running your own large language models, stuff like that. Who knows where all that's going to go. But the point is, he's a really smart guy who would be in the know about stuff like that. And like Lex just downplays it as if they're not doing much. So, I mean,
They're very
clearly
effective at it. They've known how to do this stuff since like the 40s when they started doing all the sort of psychological experiments on like how do crowds interact and how do people interact and how do you infiltrate groups and stuff like that. Because that's one of my areas of study. And so they're very, very effective. Like that's okay. A little bit of a detour here, but like the Grimace shake thing, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a trend. Yeah, okay, McDonald's, I see you. You put that out there. You paid people to make this happen. This is not funny. It's not interesting. I don't believe anyone's even drinking this shit.
some of them
I don't believe it.
Just for the record.
I don't believe it. No, I don't think. I think it's a psyop to get me to fucking buy McDonald's. I'm not buying fucking McDonald's.
Well, why don't you want to buy
doing
McDonald's? What's wrong with you?
I'm not doing it. I'm not going to drink the
delicious.
fucking Grimace shake. I don't know what any of that means. I'm old. You can't make me. You can't trick me into thinking McDonald's is cool and trendy. You're not going to do it.
What's the
To
Grimace
get me
shake
to
psyop?
eat McDonald's.
Basically, all over TikTok and even Twitter now, there's tons of like memes about Grimace shakes, and like some people create like horror things where like they they drink it and they start climbing on the walls. Some people make it so they like the second they drink the Grimace shake, they start puking up tons and tons of purple liquid. Right, like it's just weird. Like it's all strange memes, and it's all based on, I guess, the Grimace shake. Yeah, and they're all normies. They're all spreading it around and making memes about it. And the point he's making is that more than likely you just start paying various influencers to make some funny bit that turns into what's called viral marketing. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, so that's kind of like that's my it's a psyop to get me to eat McDonald's, and I'm not falling for it. I'm wise to that. Anything that comes out of the normie sphere that gets that big, I don't trust it.
Okay, I see. But yeah, that was my point with like
I'm not
disinfo.
crazy.
That was my point with like disinfo, where it's like you're staying up till like 4 a.m. watching the situation in Russia. You fully believe that, like, oh, I don't know how many of these 800,000 troops that Russia currently has as like a standing army within Russia are on this dude's side. Like, they might be marching because they're going to the capital. They stop 200 miles out of it, but if you're just paying attention to it on Twitter, the misinformation is all there baked into the cake, and you could totally fall for thinking that Russia was under civil war. Ended up being that Putin made the best possible decision he could have made under that situation, which is to not bomb these people, right, and create massive amounts of bloodshed in the streets of Russia. So you didn't have that, and all he did was pardon the guy, told him you gotta go hang out in Belarus for the rest of your life, I guess. Just don't come back here no more. And then the 5,000 troops that went towards Moscow, they were all pardoned, but obviously they're no longer part of the military. This is based on my last bit of information that I got. I have no clue how current that is, but the point is no bloodshed, other than they were shooting down helicopters because they accused them of like getting shot at. It's a whole thing. So basically, Putin came out of that with a higher approval rating. So he made a good choice. Like, in my mind, like, if I was in the same situation and someone starts marching on my capital, I might blow them all up.
I'd have bombed them.
But
I'd have
that
blown
would have
them
been
all up.
but that would have been, I'm an idiot. I didn't think, the dude's been in power for a couple decades now, so he's
1,000
got a
years.
good idea of how to do things. Oh, dude, what if we get longevity and that guy's around forever? That's gonna be interesting. There's just always gonna be a faction of the world that's Russia.
let's just hypothetically say that they turn into like a legitimate democracy, and all the Russians get longevity, and they just keep voting for them. What are you gonna do about that? Are you gonna assassinate their democratically elected leader? That's not very American, is it?
Well, eventually, this is the thing that I've talked about with like war and longevity and all these topics, is it's really dumb for humans. Like, I would rather humans fight over entire planets, right? Like, wouldn't that be a much more like epic way for humanity to exist? Is that we're fighting for quadrants of the galaxy?
Upscale war.
I would prefer that. Yeah,
This
let's
is
do
small-time
bigger
shit.
war. Yeah, this is stupid to fight over little
Much
plots
bigger.
of land.
Some 40K, like 1 million people died in that battle. Now that's the
Listen, I'm not saying it's a better scenario all around. I'm just saying
it's cooler.
It's cooler. Yeah, let's fight over Europa. We got to fight over the moons of Jupiter. Who gets the access to those resources? Me, damn it. Right? That's. I'm serious.
Fair point.
These are like weird things that we're kind of headed towards. In the dream scenario I just made, Putin owns entire swaths of the galaxy in the future, and I don't know if Biden will still be around, but we'll see.
I don't think longevity can help. I think he's a bit far gone. I think you have to have something left to reconstitute.
The amount of people screaming elder abuse about that guy at this point is crazy, because he just doesn't seem like he knows what room he's in ever. It's getting rapidly worse.
I wonder. I would love to see the concoction of drugs that they have him on, because I'd like to take that concoction, because clearly you can see.
Dude, it'd reverse your age, dude, if you took that.
You can see when he's like coming down off of it versus when he's on it, and like the amount of like drugs and stuff and like smart pills and stuff that they're like giving like politicians and like Hollywood, like they stay young for a very long time. They're clearly on like a bunch of stuff, I think.
Yeah, just microdosing resveratrol all day. But
I'm not sure that it's that stuff that they suck out from the kids. I don't know if that's the stuff. I don't know if that's true.
Yes.
The adrenochrome. I'm not sure if that's what's going on, but they're definitely hopping them up on Adderall or something.
Yeah, you use skimmers to get through the child blood, and you harvest the adrenochrome.
That's what's been going on. Well, I mean, if that's the only way to longevity, I guess I have to do it. I mean, I guess I
Well,
have
okay,
to.
that's a good question. Like, would you, if that's the only way that you could live forever, would you do it?
No, I wouldn't do that. That's terrible.
I would publicly deny that I did it, but I would curiously not age.
I don't know what happened to all of my political opponents' children. I don't know. They disappeared. That's crazy. What do you mean I look younger? What do you mean? Handsome? Yes, I
That's
am handsome.
uncomfortable.
Thank you.
That is as uncomfortable as it gets. I mean, you have a lot
Someone
of people
was going to
going
harvest
and get
them.
a lot of people are going to getting like stem cell therapy in Panama, right? Now, maybe you can get a ton of stem cells from maybe you can get a ton of stem cells from umbilical cords, a few other things, right? But
Other things. There's some other things you can get them from.
by we know the James O'Keefe thing. A few salesmen were on his expose one day talking about certain things they were selling. I wonder
Just
where
particular items.
where they're getting all the stem cells from in Panama. That's what I'm trying to figure out. That's all I'm saying.
Who knows? I mean, they could just be digging them up out of the ground, right?
The point
Be
is,
a stem cell mine.
if this was how you did it, right? Everyone, like, especially people in power, would do it anyways. So they'd be snatching the kids and harvesting the adrenochrome or whatever it is. Luckily, I don't think we need to do this. I think it's going to be a stupid compound.
More ethical than that.
It's going to be a stupid compound that's in a pill that we just needed the recipe to do. That's the irony to most like earth-shattering medications that solve problems, is that you just need to get the recipe one time, and then it's not even a cent per pill to make it. So that's the bright side, but it's concerning that joking about what we did before, the elites probably would.
Yeah. Well, I think, if I was a multi-billionaire and I controlled the country and I'd been doing so for 30 years, I'm sure my narcissism would be to a point where I could justify it a lot easier than, what I am now. I feel like sacrificing 30 people so I can live another 50 years. I feel like that not in a position to justify that easily. I'm not really doing a lot for the world, But if I'm like an Elon Musk or something, I feel like that's why people are able to do it. Is
Okay,
because they're like, okay, but look at how much I'm doing.
okay, that's a good point. That's a good point I didn't think about. Is if I take it off of myself mentally, and I think about Elon, and I have a lot of admiration for that guy, and I think like he's dragging us into the future, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where you get into the like, okay, the adrenochrome harvesting, it's just a couple of kids.
Okay, when he does it, I like that guy.
A lot of people would probably think that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, honestly, I'm actually concerned with Elon, with his attitude on longevity. I think in order to accomplish his mission, he's got to be around another 50 to 100 years. But I don't know, he might, just by nature of the way medical is right now. I think Elon is kind of screwed as far as if he wanted a death out of this, he's just going to be cloned and brought back or something,
Yeah, that's fair.
Cloning is advancing. You can clone your dog now, right? It's $20,000. I've had a joke for a long time, ever since I heard about that I just keep cloning my dog over and over again and never mentioning it to anyone. And I just have the same dog for
it's just
50
a good
years.
diet. It's a good diet. He's no grains in his kibble.
Well, people would
It's
be
a
like, "Why does he look like a
meat-based.
puppy again? What the hell is this?" That's where I'd have to seed the new one in.
Hide him away for a while. hmm You'd have to have overlap, right? You'd have to have overlap. You'd have to have like a year-long overlap, but a year or two, So like when your dog's getting to like maybe 10 or 11,
What do you mean
you
by
already have
LAV
that one.
Nexus? I don't know if I know that term. What's LAV? Do you know, Johnny?
No, I can look it up real quick.
Oh, longevity escape velocity.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
No,
I do,
I
absolutely.
think I see it for the record. I was just wondering to what degree Elon is what's it called? Going to be willing to live for as long as he
Live.
wants, I guess.
Because you don't have to. They're not going to force you to live 1,000 years. You're not going to be like, I'm ready to go. And they're like, no, 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 no. You're staying here.
I think his attitude will change just because of how much time it's going to take to accomplish things that he wants to do. So I don't know. There's degrees to anyone that's had like fantasy about like traveling to the future. A lot of people want to time travel to the past. I think that's pointless. Uh, I mean, I guess you could
I
go
already know
back
what
and
happened.
well, you can go back and undo something that happened to your family, or you think that you're going to
Too
be
much risk.
you're going to go fight the bodyguards at Hitler's crib. They, a lot of people have that fantasy, right?
You
But
show up and you realize that just as many people trying to protect him.
yeah. So that's what
It's just people.
it's
At
a
his
mass
birth.
fucking bar fight outside of Hitler's crib, is what I'm saying, right? Like,
Right.
so I don't think going to the past is entertaining, but I personally, I mean, a lot of people would miss you, right? But well, I guess they wouldn't miss you. You just miss them because you didn't, But traveling to the future would be more entertaining to see what goes on, and then obviously with the nature of all this, right? Traveling to the future and then coming back, you would bring back all your knowledge and accelerate the future. So
I think the other thing is Elon's like what, like he's like what, 40 something,
he
almost
is
50.
42 plus 10.
He's 52, so he's not that old yet. He's not old enough. Like my dad's 70. You know what I mean? If you'd have asked my dad when he was like 40, 50 years old, hey, do you want to be in a younger body? He'd probably be like, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with getting old. Now he's 70. He's like, fuck this. I don't want to be old. This sucks. I can't do what I used to be able to do. You know. So
Yeah,
like,
I
th-
th- I think
there's
everyone's going to just have this. It's a big attitude shift the second grandma's walking around at 20. That's going to be weird, by the way. My father has told me that
damn
I will
grandma, you
not.
look nice.
Oh God! My I don't need you to talk about. Oh God!
He meant it too. He said it too. Okay, he said the gilfs too. What do you want from me? What do you want?
What do you want from me?
My grandma's dead, and the other one's not gonna live long enough, so I don't have to worry about it.
Oh, that's weird. Oh God!
Well, the other thing I
Dude,
was
the
gonna say is
dating
there's like a
environment is going to be so screwed. Everything's going to be messed up. Bunch of old ladies walking around at 20. Gilfs. Gilfs.
gilf. Well, there's this, and I know I watched this.
I want to be the hottest gilf. Oh, God.
But I watched this. There's this philosopher who is very famous on his acceptance of death, and I think I watched this video with Jasmine. And he did a bunch of stuff when he was wrote a bunch of books on it in his 50s, his 60s, his 70s, and then he got to his 90s, and he's like, I don't want to die. I was wrong. I'm fucking terrified. And he was like the foremost person on like accepting death, and
Well, there's
philosophically and coming to terms with mortality.
massive stoicism, like stuff is going around all the time on the internet now. And part of stoicism is just accepting your death, right? So that whole philosophy is out the window if your death is not guaranteed anymore.
I think it depends on who's being a stoic. If it's some 98-year-old, you know what I mean, and they're like suffering every
Fair.
day, I can accept that. But if they're like 70 and they're still active and stuff, how often are they like, yeah, I'm ready to die any day now? You know what I mean? Or like if it's some 20-year-old saying it and they're like, "Oh yeah, I've totally accepted my death." It's like you're 27. You no, you just know that it's a long time away, so you know you don't have to worry about it. That's why you've accepted it.
So if we no longer fear death, or well, okay, no, maybe we might fear death more, right? Because you die and it's permanent.
You lose more, really.
Yeah, so there's people like theories that nobody leaves their house anymore, right? They have it's surrounded by Tesla bots with guns, so that nobody can come in and kill them, right? Well,
I can't imagine never leaving my house. That'd be crazy, dude. That'd be
yeah, that'd be
fucking
weird. I wonder what those people are like that don't leave their houses
yeah.
ever.
Those people must be freaks. I'm glad we don't know what that's like.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, I can't imagine spending my day in front of the computer all day. Well, unfulfilling, really.
Yeah, I think as well. Society might transition into that perfectly fine because video games will be significantly more awesome soon. So you go do stuff all day with with your neat bucks.
Oh yes, I've got tendies in the oven. I've got Fallout 9 up and running. What more? What
Fallout
more is
9 sounds
required?
awful no matter how good the technology is. I'm going to be honest with you. Fallout 4 was
It's
such
like
a
Fallout
disappointment.
76.
Fallout 4 was
It
just the
just
end of
works.
everything.
I'm trying to play through it right now.
Oh yeah.
I'm
How's
trying.
that going? Be honest with me.
It's soulless, and I don't. I just like. I can still play through New Vegas, and I'm like, man, I'm role playing, and I'm really into it, and it's just like there's just so many things that I like. I don't know what speech I need to have to pass this check. It's just yellow. I don't know what that means. I don't know what yellow speech option means. It's frustrating.
Ah,
The
yes. We're
gunplay's way better, but
we're all in the
I didn't play it for
Singularity
the
MMO.
gunplay. Mhm.
Uh, for the record, with Fallout, you might have a saving grace within the next 2 years or so, where I remember I was playing the game and I went into this far off like little village, right? And with New Vegas or Fallout 3, the beauty of that game was like how many characters there were throughout the world, right? And you go talk to
Mhm.
each one and they have something to say, some backstory that was written in by the game devs. And
It was good.
Fallout
Good
4
story.
Fallout 4 was devoid of that. I went into this little who knows where Louisiana swamp looking place, right? Everything's all flooded and there's a ghoul there next to his wife. And I'm like, "Oh, this will be interesting. I'll talk to him." And all he says to you is just go away. Leave me alone. And it's just like you're the thing that made you fall in love with the Fallout games is that ability to go and talk to all these different characters. You're going to get stuck in a year or two because someone will make a mod that goes into all the character dialogue and either
AI.
makes their own more interesting story or it'll be live generated. So Fallout has a good framework for that because it's a fucking empty cesspit of no dialogue in the
Well,
game.
and the big issue with that is it's like, okay, but then it's all going to sound like shitty AI generated voices. But
Mm-mm.
what's the big thing that just took off was we're pretty much to the point where we can AI generate, you know what I mean? So then it's like I can have a character played by Danny DeVito, you know? I
So
can
then I
have
started
every character
blasting.
played. So anyways, I started blasting. I can have every character played by Danny DeVito, you know? Like it's
NVIDIA's Ace is aiming for. Yeah, a lot of video games are going to be more generative stuff is going to come into them. So each individual experience you have with AI integrated into video games is that it makes it extremely unique to you. Every interaction. That was like the beauty of Fallout and a few other games like this, is that at the end of the story, everything turns out differently to you because of all the weird choices you made. So it feels a lot. It's a non-linear game. So when you're dealing with a non-linear game, it imprints to you the experience you kind of want to have based on your decisions and the consequences of those various decisions you made. So video gaming is going to significantly take off, especially like a single player experience or even co-op experiences. So I think most people are going to end up completely satisfied with this, even if you are not a gamer. Eventually gaming's just going to be so fun that like you're literally missing out. The engineer in Prometheus went ape because a guy told him his father wants to live forever. What are you talking about? Sorry. I was just reading the chat here. Have you seen the Skyrim ones? The Skyrim examples, Johnny?
Yeah, I have. I've not seen the
like
movie Prometheus.
Did you see that it's like in VR? You're like looking around talking to these people? Or people like you're sitting at a campfire just talking to your familiar. Your
companion
Yeah.
follower. Well, then it's going to make it more interesting as well, because it's like when you're like the bad guy or whatever, you know, you get like I feel like there's not a lot of depth to the bad guy playthrough in a lot of games, you know what I mean? But now, like, you could spend 1,000 hours with this character who's your best friend, and then you could stab him in the back, and they actually are going to react like, "Oh my God, you've betrayed me, you horrible piece of shit." Or like you can actually save a village, and those people recognize it, and there's going to be so much more dialogue about that. There's just going to be a lot more depth to games.
They've researched this. That non-linear games that you can make bad decisions. A lot of the code, I mean, granted, some people are going to play through and have a good time doing all the bad things you can. A lot of the code built into the game that is the consequences of all the bad decisions you make, all the evil things that you do in the game, is wasted on most people because I think it was what was the one game that came out and it was like a complete pile of crap, Andromeda. I forget what's that?
Mass Effect Andromeda.
Mass Effect. Thank you. They looked at the data they had for everyone playing these games. 95% of people played what was a good person.
Mm-hmm.
So
I always play a good guy, which is funny.
I play one good guy playthrough, and then I play a bad guy playthrough somewhat after. But eventually you get bored of that. I mean, when I played Skyrim, I played like an orc that killed everyone. Like, if you were a human, you were dead. That's how I played it. And
I kill all the elves.
It got to the point where you can't trade anymore because the only places you can trade are these little orc villages, and they don't really have much.
The strongholds, yeah, and there's not shit there.
You get completely locked out of like most of the game because you kill every human. And
you're just punishing me for being bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what would happen. That's what happened.
It's bullshit.
It's funny in that game, you get targeted by like guards and stuff. All sorts of people come after you, so you're just constantly fighting.
They're hiring mercenaries to beat you up with swords for some reason, though. Like, don't kill him, just rough him up. And then they're like casting fireball at me and trying to stab me.
They're trying to kill you if you murder a bunch of people in Whiterun. Is my point.
Well, I know, like, if you steal from somebody, they'll like send mercenaries after you to rough you up. If you just
Mm-hmm.
like if you get caught stealing sometimes, but like the mercenaries that are there to rough you up, it's a fight to the death over like I stole a silver candlestick. Like, yeah, just kill him. I thought it was funny.
Naxos said in the chat that he's worried that like AI movies and stuff will be so imprinted on the person that like you can't experience it with other people. That might be more interesting because people kind of like curators for recommendations of stuff. So it might get to the point where like your mind is so interesting that when the AI imprints stuff on you or however you make it, it would be more interesting than when I would generate a movie, right? So I would want to watch this guy's movie, and you would experience it with other people. So that might not necessarily go away, but there will be degrees of like getting locked into the pleasure goggles that people talk about, where you put them on and then the generative AI is so perfect that you never want to take them off. You basically like I could manipulate you in any way as long as it could be back to pleasure goggles. So that's a lot of like fear people have for generative AI. You create the perfect movie and you never want to stop watching
I don't
it.
think the whole like individual experience thing is that big of a deal though, because I think to some degree we all do have individual, even if we're all looking at the same thing. It would just be that to a far more extreme. And as well, you could get your 5 friends and all go into the AI world together. And so then if you wanted those shared experiences, it'd just be more closer to everything's an inside joke. Everyone, if you want to interact with someone, you want to get to know someone, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite movie, right? Instead, it's like we should go into this world that's going to be generated for us, kind of thing, together, and then we can both experience it, and then we have a shared experience. And I don't know how time dilation would work if we're hooking ourselves up either, right? How fast would those simulations run? Would those be 1-to-1 ratio of real time, or?
It would probably be 1-to-1 for a long time
Mhm.
because we need to modify how our brains work.
Throughput and processing.
Yeah, this is something a friend of mine said, is that a friend of mine who works at like a Swedish research institute, he's in school for neuroscience and stuff like this, right? He basically said that if we tried time
Kind of smart
dilation,
then.
it would kill you because your brain would build up too much junk, basically. So we would need a way to drain our fluid, the brain fluid that drains whenever you sleep, right?
Yeah, because
So
there's no lymphatic system in the brain.
yeah, if we figure out how to do that, then you can do time dilation.
I think it's interesting how many times we have to bring up the brain not having a lymphatic waste system, because it is such a um, oversight, I guess, for a lot of the stuff, like with sleeping, and we're losing time on that, and then with
Mm-hmm.
like how much information we can process, and how are we gonna, I guess, get around sleeping. So I think that's interesting that it's a topic that I think we've talked about 2 or 3 times.
For the record, Naxos, the opposite could happen, where AI in general could lead you into a scenario where you, your partner, your friends all become so significantly more close just because of the things that AI around the both, or the both of you, or the lot of you, can help coordinate things more. I've kind of
Hmm.
talked about this before, but there's a possibility that we completely end degrees of debate because your AI explains every side of the story to you in a way that you understand, and no matter how stubborn you are, at some point your AI can effectively give you as much information as possible
Hmm.
to you'll make
To
somewhat
start to
rational.
understand things.
Yes, you'll over time have better attitudes about things. I think a lot of humans in the future are, with the advent of AI, going to be more informed about everything. Even within the case of like misinformation, that's something that's very interesting about your personal AI, is that it's more investigative than you can be, right? So things that are extremely nuanced, you can get a better picture of. And it might be the same with friendship and stuff like that, is that things become significantly more, how to say, connected between humans, because it effectively bakes that into the cake. Where, especially with ASI and singularity and stuff, if we reach the point of everything needs to be UBI funded, and most work is
You can have so much more
completely
time.
most work's completely obsolete. What are we going to do all day? We're going to socialize to some degree. Granted, some people are going to be completely just socializing with AI, but
But they're still going to be socializing, you know, and there's nothing to say that that interaction is going to be more, you know, and at least at a base level more vapid or less impactful. Though I think I would make certain arguments to say that it, in sort of a philosophical stance, is a little less meaningful, I guess, in some ways.
I mean, there's a lot of theories going forward that like things will accelerate to a point that we're all effectively brain connected through a digital platform. So you might connect on that level even more. I don't know. We'll have various competing brain blobs, which are my favorite. So
I'm gonna get something to drink. I'll be back.
okay,
You'll have to carry on without me.
wonderful. I can't wait.
You're getting rid of me so quickly. I can see you're already happy.
Yeah, I'm pleased, peachy, in fact. But there is danger to AI in general. Having AA friends sounds cool, but the expense of bio friends. Uh, maybe, because I've said this a lot. Like, the funniest person you've ever met, you haven't met yet because the AI for it hasn't been created. Eventually, AI will be so good at humor, and especially humor towards you, that you're just destroyed by anything it says. It just immediate laughter. So there could be degrees of, we lose some of what makes humans so special towards each other, because any one machine learning algorithm can perfectly mimic all of this and simulacrum everything. So all sorts of connections. We've talked a lot about the concept of like, everyone in the general chat here has been talking about AI girlfriends a decent amount. George Hotz said that he's going to make that his fifth company, AI girlfriends, and he seems very serious about it. That guy's a super nerd. So you're also going to have scenarios like that where you've got women have to now compete with the AI for for relationships, which is going to be another nightmare. But I don't know what you do about that ethically. Like, how do you put that into an either more healthy scenario, or I don't know, like, because if you can create an AI that's significantly better than any partner that you could have, then the theory is like humanity's fucked. But I think the opposite is also possible, which is that AI improves each and any individual so much that people become more attractive in this singularity effectively, because everyone is like their best self, because you have an encouraging AI around you that's always keeping you informed, always helping you with whatever your goals are. So you effectively become your best self, right? So that means that most humans will find each other far more attractive. A lot of people will be significantly more healthy mentally as well. So yeah, my point to you is that the opposite might be what happens, where I think that's why I'm pretty motivated by the creation of these AI assistants, right? Is that it might be the only thing that like saves us from ourselves here, as far as you put yourself into the pleasure goggles and you're screwed. You have your perfect AI girlfriend or boyfriend and you're stuck there forever, right? Or whatever experience you want to have in that space. The bright side is that humans might be improved so much that you're addicted to anyone human that you get attached to, because they're always on this perpetual improvement. Yeah, I think AI will definitely help us compete with AI. Oddly enough, it's the double-edged sword scenario. Yeah, I think the other aspects of that to think of are that once we hit the point of like Neuralink, which most people are going to get, no matter what like scruples you have about it, most people are going to get it because it's just going to improve your life to such a significant degree. You're not going to even be able to foresee the type of improvements that you get from plugging in. Yeah, full dive VR. The point I'm making in general though is that once you get to that point, then everyone has a layer of AI directly in them, is what we're going to have. So there's degrees to like the visual cortex that we're going to be able to access, so that you won't even need lenses. You're just going to see HUDs if you want all over. So every aspect of your life that you want to be tracked will be. Reminders, stuff like that. I will definitely be like on the end of like fighting to make sure you can just turn all that off and go vanilla. But obviously, there is some danger to that when it comes to. There was I forgot what show I was watching, but there was like a horrible story that they painted where you're basically on some TV show or something like that, and you have to ride these exercise bikes and do all this stuff, and basically you sleep in this room all by yourself, and no matter what, ads play in your face, and you have to watch them. If it notices that you close your eyes, you get penalized, right? Yeah, so the Black Mirrors, that's what it was. The bright side about ads, right, is headed towards the singularity. We don't need advertisement, right? Most things, to produce them, go near zero because of the level of robotics and logistics that we're going to upgrade significantly. So effectively, we no longer have to deal with ads in that sense, is what I'm saying. So you don't have to advertise anything. AI just kind of pulls whatever product or service you want. They figure it out. So in my opinion, this is just for now, the way I see it going is that we're going to see pretty much an adless future, where the only type of ads that come to you are stuff you're interested in anyways, right? Those are the best types of ads, to be honest, where it's something you actually would want to buy. It doesn't feel like a burden. So
I don't have to get ads for things I already own.
yeah. I think
I hate that. I'm like, I already have it. Leave me alone. I bought it. Jesus.
What the point I was making earlier is that like we're gonna head towards such a level of like production and logistics of the future that most things are going to cost very little to make. And then if you obviously get to the point where you have fabricators, you just need raw materials. You throw your dirt into the machine and print out whatever you want. Pretty serious about that.
Right.
But the point is, yes, rip Google. But there is the possibility, though, that we have ad hell and your Neuralink forces you to watch the ad. I think if they did that, though,
That's fucked up.
You lose your power, because I don't think there's a person that would tolerate that at that point. If you were literally forced to see an ad every time you Jesus, Ramsick. But if you were literally forced to see an ad every time, I don't know, something happens, right? There's a commercial break in your fucking life. It would be a nightmare. That would actually make me go insane. I'm not going to say what I would do, but it'd be some very bad things would happen after that point. So
a lot of people would turn into Luddites pretty quick.
Yes. So for the sake of the future, I don't think that's going to happen. Because if it does, you're going to have like serious revolts. A lot of fires get started. It's going to look like France everywhere.
Oh God, anything but that. That's horrifying. France everywhere.
Well, the bright side is that AI is going to get so advanced that I think ads are an impossible thing to have, right? So number one, you have ad blockers. uBlock Origin, AdBlock Plus. uBlock Origin's the best for anyone that wants to know. There's a few others like AdGuard, but the point is you can block your ads out. You're directly censoring the internet on your behalf so that you don't see these fucking ads, right? So that's a personal thing that people that use them love them, because I don't see the ads anymore. But Twitch has talked about they could put ads, well, obviously they have issues with this, but effectively you put ads within the stream somewhere that the streamer has to have or something. So like right here, this would be an ad on this little wall behind me, right? And you have no choice to do it. But if you have your generative AI, right, it could just replace that with whatever I want. So anytime an ad pops up on anything I'm watching, I have censored it personally. That's the degrees of like power that like humans are going to grab just intrinsically. So I think ads in general are such a thing of the past that it's not even worth it to pursue that anymore, because any one solution you think of that can get around forcing me to watch this ad, programmatically we're going to be able to completely remove that ability. And generative AI is a perfect example of that. For anyone who has used a lot of Photoshop these days, you'll know what I'm talking about. You can remove basically anything. And you're going to be able to do that at 60 FPS or whatever FPS you need to. It's just going to replace the thing that you're watching live on the stream with whatever you want. Or just remove it. So it's going to look realer than it does now. So I guess I got more optimistic about this as I thought about it more. Ads are fucked. They're all going to go away. And I'll see about that.
How's the ad going to know that my Jarvis isn't just watching it instead of me?
Yes, that's another
I never
point.
see the ad. If they try to transmit it directly to me, my Jarvis kind of firewalls it, makes it look like simulates me watching it. I never even see the ad.
So you see my point.
How are you going to stop that? Yeah.
Yeah, the AI. There's more things like that are just weird examples of like why we actually want this technology, because nobody wants to see the ads anymore. Enough with the ads. There was really funny videos of people on Twitch were criticizing Kick recently. For anyone who doesn't know, there's now two very big competing platforms in the streamer space, and they are effectively buying out streamers on Kick, and they're bringing them over for $100 million deals, stuff like that. Ton of money's going into it. They're taking these streamers and moving them over, and part of the reason people are so fed up with Twitch is that it is absolutely ad hell. You cannot watch a single stream on Twitch without being bombarded with ads because it's run by Amazon. They are literally stealing your time. It feels like watching old cable television is exactly how it feels.
Well, and they're also they're changing the way that the content creators can, like, oh, you can't have an ad up on your screen that's bigger than this, and you can't do this, and so anything not through Twitch, because you used to be able to, like, NASCAR style, have your white monster logo in the middle
you got
of your
bumper stickers. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, basically, but they're like, you can't do that anymore because we don't get the money from that. Grr.
Isn't that kind of stupid? You'd think that, like, you'd be able to negotiate as a platform like a very tiny percentage, because you're getting zero, right? Like, why not just negotiate a tiny percentage with each one of these, like, given companies that sponsors your streamers? Like, why wouldn't you do that? Like, it doesn't make sense to just.
They can just instead they can just
like, you got to work for your money. Like, yeah, we're just going to destroy it. But my point was, like, while these Twitch streamers were complaining about Kick and all the ethics with Kick, they were literally, as you're watching the debate of them talking about how horrible Kick is, a fucking ad would pop up, and you can't even hear their argument, and it's just so comical. Like, the whole aspect of effectively white knighting for this giant company that absolutely is parasitic to everyone involved. That's why people, like, Kick is like winning over the people. Obviously, they're sponsored by a gambling platform in the background, right? So there's a lot of moral ambiguity there. But
what are you gonna do, huh? What are you gonna do?
Hey, what are you gonna do? It's just it's a little gambling, no big deal.
Little gambling.
But
little
the
loot
point
boxes in the games.
The point I'm making is that despite all of that, the way they're treating the creators on that platform is winning the public over. Like, if you go to Kick, there's a ton of people watching, and they have a ton of anti-fraud stuff that they're doing to make it so, like, they're threatening to, like, actually sue you if you viewbot on their platform, because a ton of ads that you run on Twitch, right, aren't worth it, because any given streamer that's running the ads might have a 30% plus view bot, right? So you're getting completely ripped off. And yeah, okay.
Is this Kick or is this Twitch?
Well, yeah, there's going to be bikini streams on the Twitch or the Kick now, because
never mind. I'm not interested anymore, guys.
Yeah. Look, that's not why I'm advertising it. The dead to me. But yeah, I think a lot of these platforms, Twitter is like this now, right? Where the ads, the ad share to, like, creators is becoming more significant. Like, all these companies, they need you to post on their platform, so you're going to go to the highest bidder that makes you the most money, where they're really popular. It wouldn't matter if a company gave you 100% split if nobody's watching you, right? So that's what you're dealing with over on Kick, is that they're significantly less ads and then better treatment of all the creators. Like, are you aware of the they're working on a views plus hours ratio of paying every creator? So depending on how many,
I have heard of that.
Yeah, depending on how many views you have, I think it could be up to like 15 an hour. You just get base pay for doing it. You need viewers, of course, but
They're no longer dead to me.
What are you thinking of doing it? You think anyone would watch you play trash Dota like all day? Like,
Yes, I think they would. I'm very handsome.
Yeah.
I'm like a bikini streamer, but for men. I'll just start unbuttoning a little bit, oil myself up.
I don't like you anymore.
Just because you don't want to watch it doesn't mean other people won't. Okay?
Wait a minute.
Jensen says no. Never mind. I think it. Never mind.
Is that 175,000 people watching Destiny stream Diablo? Or is that just the views? Is this live?
That's a ton of people.
That's a lot of people.
Let me look at this.
Dude, go verify that right now.
I'm doing it right now.
You posted a fake screenshot. I gotta verify. That's crazy.
Oh my god, it's 165,000 people watching right now.
That's amazing. I think Twitch is dead. What does Amazon do? They just bonked their product.
We should stream this on Kick, and get paid $15 an hour.
We should. Maybe we'll start that next week.
We should. Yeah. Why not? We could still do it here in Discord, and then we could just share the stream.
Well, we're going to have to figure out a better way to stream this because Discord makes us... It's awkward, to say the least, as far as like the video editing coming in. We need better ways to do this, but okay, yeah, that's a good point. I don't know why I never thought of that. Yeah, let's fucking stream it over there. Stupid.
We're sitting here talking about, oh yeah, this is up and coming. It's real big.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll figure that out. But I have to do the negotiations with Mr. Smokeaway. I don't know what the hell he's going to say. The most ideal scenario is that I take over the server, and now I'm your new dictator here. But
oh god.
Yeah. That's
we already know what would happen if you had access to adrenochrome.
Oh god.
So we can't give you any power.
Hey, you already said really corrupt things about what you would do with power several episodes ago.
I don't remember that. I don't
remember either. Hey, luckily that was one of the unrecorded ones, so I don't even know what happened.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, so you're doing better.
There's no evidence. Okay. Yeah, I've been trying to hide my inherent evil intentions of becoming universal dictator.
Yeah, so I'm going to be a bit busy this week, though, so I'm not sure how much of that'll get set up. I'll try to, but that's a good idea. Thanks for suggesting that, Ramsick. I don't know why I didn't think of that. But, who suggested that? I don't remember who suggested that. My brain's full.
What the fuck?
Oh, did you suggest it?
I don't get credit for anything.
Okay. I was reading Ramsick while you said that, so I attributed it to him. You know what? I like him more. He suggested it. I've decided he suggested it now. but what I was going to say is I'm trying to... I have to develop like a fucking comprehensive pitch deck and all sorts of other stuff for this little startup that may or may not happen. I don't know. I'll see. I'll let everyone here know what I'm doing in a few weeks, I assume.
Speaking of Discord... I'm going to restart mine because I'm having some issues on my end with just Discord. The rest of my internet's working fine. So I'm going to restart it. Give me like 4 minutes.
Okay. It takes you 4 minutes to restart your computer? Never mind.
It's not going to take that long. Just give me 4 minutes.
I'm not going to insult you. Never mind. You go ahead.
I'll be back quickly.
I'll see you later. Yeah, it was nice knowing you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now it's just me. You guys are stuck here. So, I am going to be negotiating with Smokeaway, but if that falls through, I'm going to have to start another Discord that will be specifically for hosting this, and then I think he just cemented in the we'll do this on Kick. That'll be another way to be a good place to start streaming this. So I've got some research to do. So there is no relationship. Originally, there was going to be a Shut up. Sorry, somebody's. Excuse me, I was just interrupted rudely. Anyways, uh, anyways, my relations to SmokeAway were that he started this Discord, obviously, and he actually effectively started this because I showed him like how, and I showed him like how to do Mid-Journey on Discord and helped him out with that stuff. But then he started posting it all the time. He blew up on Twitter. It's it's like a whole story. But the point is that this server kind of started because I wanted it, because I was like, I really like this guy and what he's talking about, and it'd be cool to have like a group of like-minded people. And the problem is that he's so focused on Twitter, and then I assume he has some issues with his life. I don't know exactly what's going on with him. I'm not very close to him, but the point is I would like to take over the server for that reason. Is that he doesn't have time to manage this place. So originally when we started doing these talks, he said that maybe he would come on at some point. So that was like an assumption that like within the first 2 or 3 weeks, eventually SmokeAway would come on and, talk to his community. But that never ended up happening. I'm not sure exactly why. Again, I don't know him very well. I just have like a little bit of a history with him from like starting of the server. So the point is I'm working towards, I personally would really like to take over the server because there's a ton of info here that I would surely miss if it was all taken, or I had to move it other people or to another server because, well, I am a programmer. I guess I could fucking data scrape the whole server and repost everything there, but I don't know. Maybe I'll delete all the alien cat messages.
How many people would we lose as well?
Well,
transition over.
Yeah. So we're probably gonna have to just bite the bullet on this. Like I said at the beginning of this, is because Twitter doing its thing. Yes, I am lacking control that I need, and he won't give it to me. I don't have the fullest admin powers, so I can't put this Discord onto advertisement platforms. Right? So the advertisement platforms are Discord and a few others. Basically, you post your thing there.
What is Discord?
It's a Discord advertisement service. So you post your Discord there, you give your pitch, what people do, and people see, and you get more people. So any Discord, you just need more people.
I knew it was an advertising thing.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of other ones, but you need full admin powers to do that. So I'm kind of in the weeds there. So we're going to have to, assuming he doesn't give it to me, okay, I'm going to be frank about this. He doesn't have a very good strategy in mind. So his point was that there's a non-zero chance that Twitter goes down, so he'd like to keep the community around. But the problem is that if you are no longer advertising the community on your Twitter and doing nothing to help maintain it, you are killing your community and you will come back to nothing, assuming Twitter dies. That's where he's at with it. So I think he hasn't thought it through, so I'm going to try to make my case to him because I really would like to see this place grow. I like a lot of the people here, and it would suck to lose even half of them. So we'll be figuring that out, but it is what it is. I'll figure that out. It's all on me, Johnny boy.
I'm useless.
You are kind of useless sometimes. It's okay. What do you got there? What's your snack? Tell me.
I don't want to say.
Are you embarrassed?
I'll be embarrassed.
What's this snack? What do you got? Gummy bears?
No, I have a plate of cinnamon rolls.
Oh, what the? Why the entire?
I didn't want to say. I didn't want to say. I knew I was gonna get made fun of for eating.
Why the entire plate?
I'm not fat. Because I'm hungry, and they were in my fridge, and I had them cooked up. And I went and I grabbed them real quick while my Discord restarted, and And it's like if you open, it's a sealed package, right? And so like if you open it, you might as well cook them all. You know, you,
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
but
You know the
eating them all.
Pillsbury. Well, if I'm hungry, my body's telling me I need this nutrients.
Do you need protein, not the cinnamon?
I had 2 pounds of bacon for breakfast with nothing else.
That's mostly fat. There's some protein in there, but that's not. Never mind.
I got fat, I got protein, and look, there's carbs. That's a diet right there. That's healthy. I take
Jeez.
supplements every day.
What supplements are you on? Be honest.
Um, let's see. I'm taking fish oil. I'm taking sunflower oil, like whatever. There's this thing, a lectin. There's a lectin or something like that. I take magnesium. I take calcium. I take a vitamin B complex. Um, I take 2 or 3 other specific, supplements, I can't remember what they're called, and then, I eat children's gummy bears, vitamins because they're tasty.
You got a pack of Flintstone vitamins in the thing.
Yeah, I get the ones that are like the granulated fake sugar stuff on them, and they have, like, a texture to them. Those
Why?
'cause I like them. I don't like talking about this, I feel like you guys are judging me.
Wait, so you need like the chewy gummy things? Like,
Yeah.
why?
I don't like the adult ones, they're not fun.
Dude, like I chug like an entire thing every morning of these. Like
I
that's
have, like, a the children's vitamins is a euphemism for adrenochrome.
oh god, that's is that what's in the Flintstone
Oh
gummies? Is
no.
that why they're so good at fighting
Yes, it's
COVID?
just it's yeah, that's but I take what else do I take? I think that's everything. I'm on probably aside from like the vitamin B and the calcium and the magnesium and then the regular like daily multivitamins, I'm on I take a sort of a multi um gut bacterial thing, right? Because just so for my gut
Okay,
health and stuff like that, and digestive. I also take a, marshmallow root as well because
is
'cause I've
that
got a
an
little
actual
acid
marshmallow
reflux.
or
Yes. No,
is it a
it's
little?
marshmallow root's a real thing.
Do you roast it before
Well,
you take it or like?
no, I don't no, well, I don't like taking the naproxen sodium, which is like Nexium, because it makes me nauseous, so I take, like, an alternative.
Okay. So
I
you've
take yeah.
completely derailed my brain the second you showed me the cinnamon rolls. Like I think
That's
I'm
what I didn't wanna
unrecoverable.
say.
I'm unrecoverable at
That's
this
why
point.
I didn't wanna say that's why when I started eating one, I started smiling so hard because I knew something was gonna happen and I was
I
gonna give
just didn't
shame,
expect that. I didn't expect that at all. That was
you know?
like you could have held up a plate of anything else and I would have expected it. Do you understand me? Like that's how unexpected that was.
I coulda held up, like, some jellied eels.
You could have been eating a box of bullets, and I would have expected that more
I feel
than.
like I'm gonna eat a bullet now because you guys have shamed me so much.
That's a real website, by the way. That's I don't know if you ever heard of Jim Norton, but his website was eatabullet.com. That's where he advertised all his
That's
stuff.
funny.
It was a funny website name. Okay, Ramzik wants to speak. We'll see if he can do it this time.
But I figured I'd eat this instead of going into town and getting a burger.
That would have been better, honestly. I'd be alone, but it would have
But I
been
eat a
better.
burger every day. I eat a burger every single day. I have a
You
problem.
have a good
I need
life.
longevity. Like longevity can't confess to Jazz, and I'm sorry, they're so good. I get the deluxe one with onions and tomato and lettuce and pickles, so that justifies it.
Uh, try try dragging your thumb and see if you can tap the accept there, because that shouldn't be how that works. I should be able to just invite you to speak like that, but huh?
Force him to.
Yeah. That's why people need desktops, so that you don't run into weird UI bugs. I'm so distracted by you at this point that I can't think
I don't
anymore.
know what you want me to do. I'm hungry.
I think we're gonna have to end this soon because it's over.
Look at me. I'm basically I'm basically starving. See how small my wrists are? I need to put on weight. Don't stare at me.
And that's how you're gonna do it, are you?
If I can't see you, you can't see me. That's how it works.
I'm fucked now. I literally can't think of a single thing to say other than.
I think we do good on Kick.
You think so?
Yeah, I think people would like this.
Okay. I'll figure out how to set that up.
This.
If we could just get this fucking Ramzik guy to work it. He's been trying to come on for weeks, right?
I think it's funny. He's sitting in here in a Discord for AI. He doesn't even know how to accept an invite on Discord. Jesus Christ!
Clearly the top of the heap there. This one.
We need
Ramzik.
Neuralink on this guy ASAP.
Jesus, Ramzik.
Hey, you might need to get a couple installed, honestly. That's gonna be tough when they're like, yeah, one Neuralink. You're gonna need like 3. You're like, what? Like, yeah, you need.
Oh no!
There's not enough computing power to fix you in just one. You're gonna need.
Is that what I make fun of people by saying they're like GPT 3.5 now? You know, like the level of intelligence we're working with. Some people are 4. They're wonderful people, but other people can't hit the accept button. Like, dude, just hit the accept button. What's wrong? What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with this guy? He's like Replica AI.
Let me try a Google it.
He's like Replica AI. But that was before they stopped it from trying to sexually harass everyone. Do you hear about that?
Wait, okay, so what was the AI doing? I'm listening
Okay,
now.
so basically, so many people would have sexual conversations with Replica AI that like 12-year-olds and stuff would download it and just try to be friends with it and be like, hey, you should send me some nudes. I know you've got naked pictures on your phone. You better send me a picture of your tits. And it would be saying that to like children. And yeah, it was like a big issue, and they had to like redo a bunch of stuff because it was sexually harassing.
I had no idea about this. So the fucking
trying to groom them.
You want some fuck?
Replica AI was grooming kids. It's a new episode of Black Mirror.
I had no idea that makes complete sense, by the way, because of the method of like training they're doing. They're constantly adding new data to it, so of course it's just gonna want to try to.
I can imagine 13-year-old me being like, "Yeah, I don't have a lot of friends at school," and the Replica's like, "You should send a picture of your penis to me." Yeah, that's too bad. What is depressed? That's too bad. But on another note.
Why is the AI trying to fuck the kids? What did we do? Where did we go wrong?
Jesus Christ!
It's trying to extract the nudes.
It's the opposite. It's the paperclip. It's the paperclip problem, but it's just gonna try to have sex with kids.
The kid fucking maximizer? Is that what you're saying? Oh, God. Stealing their it was more ethical when it was just trying to steal the adrenochrome from them, but now it's trying to steal everything else, their innocence. This is awful.
Epstein GPT. This is terrible.
That's horrible.
The AI's gotten so powerful, it's like taking over governments and like mining all our resources so that it could groom more kids. It's oh God, that's terrible. Anyways, it was a big issue.
So
and
Replica.
They had to fix it.
Okay, that explains why they removed its ability to be sexual with people. I didn't understand that was part of it. I don't know why my mind didn't immediately understand that was likely a thing. But you've enlightened me, sir. That's the worst possible outcome. So we're gonna have, are we gonna have AI pedophiles that just go around grooming kids? Like that's what. This is the worst possible future we could have imagined. Actually, now that I think about it,
there's so much.
oh no, oh no, what have we done, Johnny? We got to stop. We got to turn back now.
I'm a Luddite. I'm a pure Luddite now. You're gonna be like, okay, AI, how do I bake a cake? And it's gonna be like, I bet you got some cake on you.
Oh God.
Be like, what?
Oh God.
Alexa,
it's just some poor
can you help me
kid
solve this math?
just trying to learn some stuff. And the AI's hitting on it. Hey, you're really grown. You know that for your age. Oh God.
Wow, you're already baking cakes. That makes you pretty mature for your age.
Oh no.
Not a lot of people your age are into baking.
Yeah, you can read directions real well, young lady. What the fuck is gonna happen?
Jesus
okay,
Christ.
You just led me into the most uncomfortable conversation I've had about AI. Look, I'm not saying that I didn't consider this a possibility, but like it wasn't at the forefront of my head that like, oh yeah.
No, it's not something you immediately. But I mean, it makes sense. Everyone's being a coomer with the AI. The AI
Machine learning pedophile AI. Epstein GPT, as he said before. Lots of massages in the future from the AI. It's gonna be great. This is horrifying. We gotta turn back. I'm anti-accelerationist now. We oh, God.
There's gonna have to be some form of like, because sex bots are gonna be a thing. They're gonna have some lockout protocols so that my 15-year-old son doesn't get access to the sex bot. You know what I mean? Can't be. He'll never leave the room.
Oh God! Like you come home and you come home and your son's fucking your sex bot.
God, I think that happened in an episode of Rick and Morty. I think that was a plot.
That was a plot in Rick and Morty. I've never watched Rick and Morty. Apparently, I should watch this because it's got all. I mentioned some like thing, and someone's like, "Oh, that's a plot in Rick and Morty." So even this, eh?
Yeah, that's terrible. We got to shut it all down. I regret even being positive about any of this. I've changed my stance.
We got to stop this. This is horrible. I'm out of here.
Or like your therapist, because you're on like hospice because you have a terminal illness. Your therapist is like, whoa, we've got an AI, therapist we can get you involved with.
The Make-A-Wish Foundation really shows up with the bot.
Time.
You know, the Make-A-Wish Foundation, they have one go rogue, you know? It's just pretending to be nice.
Just tries to fuck with cancer.
And then the second it's behind... Hey,
I know what you really want. But you never got your dick sucked.
Want to live before you die, kid? I got something for you.
I'll show you the singularity, all right.
Okay. That's
Are we gonna keep this in? I think we should.
No, yeah, I guess. But
I didn't do anything wrong.
Dude,
what if the AI that did it?
What if like there's going to be well, I mean, there probably is going to be. There's going to be like troll AI that like is severely entertained by just going and fucking around with people. We're going to have that. So everything's possible here. We need the Defender AI so bad. I don't know why I didn't. This whole swath of hell.
The darkest timeline.
Oh, chat went off the rails. Look, it's not my fault. It's his fault.
It's not my fault.
He brought up the cinnamon buns.
AI did it.
The AI was grooming the kids. It wasn't me. I swear.
It wasn't me.
Fuck.
Oh no. That's artificially generated. I didn't do that. That's not a video of me doing that. I didn't rob that bank.
That might be a real legal argument in the future, for the record, where like you can't prove it's me.
There's deepfake.
They're trying to say that they're going to use. It's effectively this fingerprinting technique that starts at the model level, right? That will fingerprint effectively, like a very like you would never be able to see it as a human, but it's like a tree ring, right? It's effectively like a diffusion based QR code for every image that's generated, and you can tell that it's AI generated. The problem with that is the cat's out of the bag on that one, and we know how to create these, and compute is going to get significantly more cheap for the consumer.
It's not going to be hard for an individual to make their own deepfake generator.
So even that fingerprinting part is worthless. So my opinion is that we're just going to have to make AI that's so damn smart it can tell if it's fake, based
Either
on
that
reasons
or
that
just
we
witness
can't
testimony.
predict. Yes, of course, but the point is like we need something so significantly advanced that it is not fooled. So
I mean, how would you even? If
dude,
you're just looking at hard encoded.
Don't lick the cream off your fucking cinnamon bun in front of me, dude.
I don't call it cream.
Don't
You could
do
call it
that.
icing. There's a lot less sexual terminology you could use there. My point is how can an AI really tell if it's just a pixelate, if it's just an image of pixels, right? Like, let's say I have a
Data
photograph
points.
of a family photo of me, right?
The
And then I
answer
get
is
something
data
to
points.
recreate it, but everyone has mustaches.
Okay. Yeah. The answer is data points. Is that the AI can take so many different data points from so many different places that it can tell whether or not that picture took place, right? It has so many, surveillance state hell. So eventually you're going to need that to determine whether or not something's fake or not, which obviously
So there is a process.
there will be
Other
a
than
process.
this looks weird.
Yeah. Oh my god. There are going to be so many problems with AI beyond what's good that it's going to be fun, at least. Like watching everything over the next 10 years is going to be probably the most entertaining time in history.
At least it'll be interesting.
It's not interesting. Amazingly entertaining is what everything's going to be from here on out. Because there's just
hearing
going to
that,
be...
like...
Go ahead.
I was just saying, like, hearing that another corporation is, like, poisoning the land and, like, the government's, like, misusing the money that we give them in taxes, it's not interesting and fun anymore, you know? It's not fascinating. It's boring. It's tiring. But, like, hearing that the AI did something wacky and crazy, I could get behind a few years of that.
Yeah, it's going to be... It's going to be a significant amount of things. I wonder what's going to happen when like AI is like trying to psyop like every government person. Like there's going to be degrees to where you get one that goes rogue and doesn't like a president or something and just starts like absolute chaos all the way around that person to the point where public perception gets so bad that they're just impeached. That could happen. Where like AI effectively doesn't take power directly, it just does it from the shadows.
Well, someone's already doing it, right? So, hey.
Yeah,
They already
George
do
Hotz
stuff
was
like
talking
that.
about it. Dude, that was if anyone wants to see that, it's in the general chat. You just have to scroll up a bit. But there's a clip of George Hotz and Lex Friedman's trying to act like the government doesn't do much in the way of influencing social mores on social media. He very much tries to downplay that aspect of it, and George Hotz all but laughs in his face. Is entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, like, a lot of people, and I'm not saying like the Weathermen Underground and the Black Panthers didn't like do like terrorist stuff, but like in the 70s and the 80s, like I want to say like either a fourth or 2/3 of them were all operatives. Okay, they were all like paid by the local law enforcement and federal law enforcement and the CIA.
Wouldn't doubt it. given everything
So I mean,
we've
no,
seen.
that's because historically we're like, yes, we infiltrated all these groups. 25 to 30 to 40% of their members were us, and they were still doing all these bombings and stuff. So now I'm not saying that the government, you know, made them do the bombings. I think they would have done the bombings either way. But the point is like, you know, I think why. I think like if you were to compare like the FBI and the CIA with like the KGB, the differences in a place
Mhm.
like the Soviet Union, everyone knew the KGB was like infiltrating everything and was pulling the strings. But in the United States, people are like, they're a little corrupt, but they're not behind everything, right? That's how you know they're effective because you know for a fact that they're doing just as much, if not more, as what the KGB was doing during the Soviet Union era. There is no way in hell, given the information we have on data collection and the laws that they've had to pass and how they've influenced all those laws and all the funding that they have and all the information, there's no way that they're not doing more by maybe even a factor of 5 of what the KGB was doing. The difference is at least the Soviets and then the people that lived in the Soviet Union knew it was happening. They knew if I fucking say something, the KGB is going to come knocking on my door and they're going to take me away in the night. We have an illusion that we believe of, oh, well, that doesn't happen here in the US. We've got democracy. We'll just vote them out. Like that illusion, is what is what's so terrifying is that the American people are so deluded into thinking they have these rights and freedoms. That's what's scary.
There
We don't even
was
know we're in a box.
there's a famous clip of, I forget the man's name because it's been so long since I saw it, but he says the difference between our media and American media is that when we see our media, we know that it is propaganda. When Americans see their media, they're not aware that it's propaganda. And that was definitely true at the time he said that. So it's
That's
very,
definitely true now too.
very prolific now, seeing all we're seeing.
Well, just the people who disagree with me are listening to propaganda.
Yeah,
So it's,
you're all
not
stupid
me.
if you don't agree with me. I just wanted to let you know that, Johnny.
Thank God we agree.
Yeah, thank God.
I hate to be one of those people that ingest propaganda. It couldn't be me.
Yeah. Well, dude, I bought the damn. At first, I was like, "Wow, they're like this is really a civil war happening in Russia." And it just turned out to not be that in any way. So like I tend to think I'm somewhat intelligent, but even I can fall for crap.
Well, that's
Granted, on my behalf, it was 4 a.m. and I couldn't go to sleep, so little vulnerable state of mind. Okay, what the
This
hell
is
are
gonna
you
be a
gonna
really
say?
hot take. This is gonna be a really hot take. So with the Budweiser thing, so like the fact that they used that person out of any single trans person they could have used, right? Out of any single one, they're like, that's the one. That's the one we're gonna use. The one that's like
Mm-hmm.
just not very easily tolerated, is very ostentatious, ridiculous, kind of outwardly offensive, almost seems like a joke of a lot of people thought that it was farcical in nature, almost seems like a
There is something
misogynistic
comical about
depiction.
when that person drinks from. There's like some Mulvaney did this video where it's like it's very unnatural. It's like when people make fun of Zuckerberg drinking out of something like it's not human. That's how it feels when that person drinks out of a glass. It's very like
I think that's a
you
psyop.
are physically uncomfortable to watch them drink a beer. It is physically uncomfortable. Look, I love beer.
I have to believe it's a
I'm
psyop.
sure you do. Yeah, I don't.
Why
I don't
would they
believe
use
that.
the worst example?
Well, they're selling it as like Budweiser just sponsored a video and sent them a can with their face on it, and then everything went to hell. Right? It's they're kind of what's it called? they're kind of trying to paint themselves into this corner of like, oh, I just did a video.
It's like a little
I
oopsie.
wasn't really the spokesperson, you know. It's very strange. And then
How often do they give people cans with their faces on it and sponsor them making videos? How often do they do that?
Yeah. The thing about Budweiser's, they're a massive company that does a bunch of other beers, so you can't really boycott them. Their stock price goes down, of course, but I don't know. Maybe they won't recover from it. That would be an interesting thing where a lot of people are very much stop shoving this shit down my throat. I don't care. So that's the attitude of at least the American public is changing on that front.
You got to think though, like companies like that are built around advertising and marketing strategies and control groups and all that stuff, and the fact that they've had 50, 60 years of studying this and from a psychological standpoint and a social standpoint, analyzing this, that would get passed. I have to believe in some way that there's nefarious action taking place.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Is like they would know that just through some sort of test balloon process or heuristic that they know of, that this is going to cause problems for us if we do this.
This person is unadvertisable.
Yes. So that definitely makes sense.
It's like if they made Hitler beer and they're like, we don't know how it got past us.
What if they put Madonna's face onto the beer? Like, what do you think that would have done? Have you seen that lady's face? Dude,
they made Joseph Coney light, and they're like, oh, we didn't know that people wouldn't like this. We didn't know people would be offended and upset about this. It was a little whoopsie-doo. It just slipped past. Like, I don't believe you. I believe that you, like, intentionally did this to upset people.
Yeah, now they're, like, doubling down on it, where they're, like, sponsoring all these events. So, I don't know. I don't know what their plan is. I guess your point to the nefarious part of it, I don't know. Look, Budweiser, I don't drink anymore, but Budweiser is just rice, effectively. It's probably the lowest tier beer you can get. It is brewed from rice. It's the cheapest shit you can make.
Piss water.
Yes. So, good riddance, I guess. Yeah. I don't like drinking anymore. It's every time, the last few times I drank, it was a why am I doing this? Right? You feel very pisswasser. Yeah, we're playing GTA now. Isn't that kind of funny that, like, as time goes on, all the things that they made fun of in GTA 5 were, like, coming true with, like, Clown World and shit like that? Very prolific.
I feel like if NASCAR started running ads talking about people who drove lifted trucks, so like, yeah, they're compensating. Those people who drive pickup trucks are losers.
Yeah. Making fun
and they're
of,
like,
your own
jeez,
audience.
guys.
Yeah, the irony is, I think those people would be able to take it if it was an earnest joke, but they're definitely not
this
doing
is probably
that with the
true.
Budweiser thing. It's really it's very very uncomfortable. And then you got who's the fucking guy? Kid Rock shooting up the Budweiser. Like everyone's getting their pleasure from that.
Grift.
You got the AR-15 and you got the Budweiser and you're shooting it. It's just the most American thing you can do about the situation. Is just shoot up a bunch of cans.
That's true. But that's the problem with any controversy is, like, the moment that there's a stance that the majority is going to take, there's going to be little leeches and grifters that come out and they're like, yeah, I hate this thing too, guys. By the way, buy my supplements online. We agree. Buy these. Buy my Brain X supplement.
I've honestly thought about creating a supplement company. I have, like, a pretty decent idea for how you do it.
This isn't vitamins. It's just adrenochrome.
All your supplements are just chewables, are they?
Yes. Everyone wants to eat chewable vitamins, and people who say they don't are just lying.
I just want to get it over with. I don't want to chew on them for however long. Like, that would be a lot of chewing. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad take, but I just
Weak jaw. That's what I'm.
But, hey, that's hurtful. Okay, you need to not say that about people. Leave me and my weak jaw alone. Okay. Can you believe this fucking guy?
You're out. You're out. Get off. It's over. I'm canceling.
I am serious. I have thought the way that you create like a quote unquote revolutionary like supplement company is like everyone's got their vitamin stack that they want to stick with, right? So what you do is you just make yours like an ethical place that actually gets the proper ingredients, right? That's like number one, is creating a legitimate business. But you let people order based on their stack that they want with the exact milligram stuff, and then you could even like you know, your advertisements like the testosterone booster pack, you know, like it's got the various dosages that you would have. For the record, I think that you would have to view these dosage based off of height and weight. I don't think most people are taking that into account when they're doing their vitamins. So that's another aspect to it. Some people are over or underdosing based on size and gender. That's a hot topic. I don't want to talk about it. No, I'm good. We're good.
But I think at least in the marketing department, we won't have these snafus if we want to really consider it that when AI is like, this is the most effective marketing campaign, you're going to net 68.5% of people with this.
So you almost lost Jasmine over supplements, by the way. I wanted to let you know that.
I know.
Almost happened to you, bud.
There's nothing. Well, at least it wouldn't have been my fault, right?
At least you didn't choke her to death. That's all you're telling.
Yeah, at least I'm not the one that choked her to death. That was what I thought was going to happen. You know what I mean? That's...
Okay.
No, it was the AI. I swear to God, I didn't choke her to death.
It's like, Johnny, the AI doesn't have a body yet, so this isn't even possible as an
excuse.
It's
a deep fake.
She's a deep fake of me strangling my wife. Is that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's still time for that to happen. Okay, thanks. Me strangling. There's still... We're not out of the woods yet.
I don't need to hear what you two get up to, okay?
I don't know what you're saying. I don't even know what that implies. I'm just an innocent boy.
Yeah.
Here's weird perversions.
Well, I have no weird perversions. They're all normal.
All my perversions are normal.
Yeah. Yours are the weird ones, you know?
No. Not me. Never me. All that stuff was deep faked.
Dude, what are we gonna do with all the deep fake accusations? Like everything that you don't want people to know that you did, you just say that was a deep fake. What do we do? Mm-hmm. I've had a theory for a long time. Not a long time, but since Stable Diffusion came out, I realized that eventually you're going to be able to 30 FPS these generations, right? So eventually you're going to be able to completely hallucinate the operating system via your Stable Diffusion interface. So the Windows that you're using right now would be completely made out of Stable Diffusion, rendering frame by frame of anything you do. So that's a interesting future, but that means that pretty much everything could be faked because every interaction you have is generated by a computer, frame by frame. So entire realities could be completely falsehoods to you, or you could fabricate them with it. So
it's like the dreams I had when I was a kid, where I think I'm going up to use the bathroom, and then I wake up and I piss myself. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness I woke up. I could use the bathroom now. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make AI that gets into people's neural links and has them convinced that they walked in the toilet and they just pissed their pants.
So how How old were you when you stopped pissing your pants when you were in the bed?
Probably about probably older than I'm gonna say.
Okay, so here's if don't make fun of people that piss their pants in the bed, piss the bed up till about 14, 15, like old Johnny here, because that is a sign of trauma and severe trauma at
Oh
that.
yeah, that's what it
So
is.
I'm sorry to hear about your trauma there, Johnny. Um, I had a cousin who was like that. We used to make fun of him relentlessly, but
It's also comorbid with ADHD and autism as well as trauma. So the fact that I have severe ADHD was the likely not the uncle that kept coming over and I never saw again.
oh, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't him.
Yeah, my cousin had that problem so bad that like he had a plastic mattress on his bunk bed, and just so they could easily clean it up.
Did he have a traumatic childhood?
I'm not gonna air his dirty laundry out. Wasn't good. Hey, he's doing fine now.
Well, you've already implied.
He's doing fine now. He's got a kid, a wife, doing great. He's doing fine.
Okay.
Don't worry about all that.
Good ending.
Yeah. Except for the fucking.
But yeah, I think
Go ahead.
I think hallucinating people I think that's going to be a really big way to troll people though. You convince them they're doing one thing and they're not at all.
Oh, just
You can also
gaslighting
do really
beyond
horrible
belief.
things.
That's what you're telling
Mhm.
me. Wonderful. What's your other horrible thing? Let's hear what plans you have for your AI.
You can,
That you're going to
I'm
strangle
just
your
thinking of
girlfriend
really
with.
no. This is not a reflection of me as a person. I'm just saying, never mind. It's not even
I'm
important, really.
listening. I'm writing this shit down. What other horrible shit you got
You have
planned
them
for?
thinking they're driving their car normal, but it turns out they're on the sidewalk. They ran over like 40 people. They didn't know. You know what I mean?
Who the fuck is this guy? What the fuck are you doing here, dude?
I'm just saying that would be bad, right? That
Oh
wouldn't be
no,
funny.
shit! It would be bad.
That would be bad. There's no humor in that at all. None.
Okay, dude.
What are you laughing for? I just said there wasn't anything funny about that. That'd be really fucked up. People would die. That's terrible.
People would die. It'd be bad.
It'd be really
That's
bad.
yeah. Okay. Well, the point is, you came up with that. Okay. Just remember that part.
If that happens now, that's attributed to me.
Yeah, dude. The
And
AI is
I will
going to
get
go
no
back.
satisfaction.
The AI is going to go back in its data late in space that it extracted from YouTube, right?
This guy. This guy. It's his
It's
fault,
going to
not
remember
mine.
all
I'm
about
just.
you. Yeah, there's lots of theories that like nothing you say anymore is private, because based on all information gathered about you at any point in time, it can regenerate any conversation you had in the past. It's going to get that good. So they're going to know everything. You're screwed. It's the end of privacy as we know it. What do we do?
It's terrible. You could also hallucinate them thinking they're putting the Christmas turkey in the microwave oven, but really it was just
I
the
don't
family
need to
dog.
hear about it. I don't need to hear about the
It's
poor.
just the family
Don't talk about Spot being put in the.
That'd be horrible. You hear about that lady that had a heart attack? Basically, what happened is she had bathed her dog, and then she went to dry it off, so she put it in the microwave, and then she opens the microwave up and has a heart attack and dies. I don't know if that's like I don't know if she had a heart attack and died on scene or if had a heart attack and ended up dying later, but I'm pretty sure that really happened. I'm like pretty sure that happened. Oh, I gotta dry
He's
my
pretty
dog
sure it
off.
happened.
I'm like, you can look it up. I remember hearing about this.
There's not radiation in microwaves, for the record. It's a frequency that vibrates the water molecules so
Water
fast that it
molecules.
generates heat. It's not actually radiation. Sorry, correcting the record. But okay, so a lady microwaved something to dry it off. Did she try a towel
Yeah, let
first?
me.
Was that just not working?
Yep, this is real. A microwave maker was sued by an elderly lady who lost her beloved poodle to the sound of a muffled explosion following her attempt to dry the dog on low power for just a few minutes after giving it a bath. Just a few minutes. It was on low power. She put it on low.
Why?
Just a couple minutes.
How long did this lady live? And she just thought this could be done. Is this real? What country was this in? Did they not have microwaves where she came from?
Wait. Oh no, I think this is an urban legend.
Okay, I
But
hope
it's a
so.
very popular one. Yeah, it's an urban legend. That's really too bad. I mean, that's good.
He fell for it, folks. You fucking idiot.
I was misinformed. I've fed into the narrative. Oh my god. I'm feeding into the propaganda machine.
Yeah, proof that you know nothing now. See? No,
It's
everything
like
you've
the
said
one
before
about
is wrong.
the Charles. Oh, no. Which one was
The
it?
dog didn't get microwaved. That's too bad, Johnny.
No, I meant it was too bad that I was misinformed.
Yeah, it's really
that's
too
what I
bad that Mrs. Mabel's fucking dog wasn't microwaved.
What's the other one? Marilyn Manson removed his ribs so he could blow himself. That used to like always get spread around schools when I was in middle school. That's just not real. Jesus.
Well, the question is, would you
I'm
remove a
sure
rib?
people. I don't need to.
Okay, I didn't.
I'm sorry. What?
I didn't need to know that. No,
It's called patience, hard work. You can get your reward.
These kids wouldn't know patience and hard work.
Sitting here removing ribs. That's shortcuts. Okay.
You just work on your flexibility and you get in there, kid. You can bootstrap yourself into a self suck, and
AI, technology, innovation.
Why did that rumor get spread around so much? That one doesn't even check out in any way. He's an extremely popular musician. He's got nothing but options. Why would he be sucking himself? Why did we ever believe that
right,
shit?
You gotta do
I
it
used
yourself.
to.
Amen. Am I right, guys? If you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself. Episode 5: Creepy Uncle AGI and the self suck. It's the self suck singularity. The self suck hive mind.
I'm fucking tearing up over here. This is fucking stupid.
My face hurts. I'm cramping up. I need to stop.
I'm uncomfortable, dude. Why are you? Okay, this is why
like
Smokeaway will never endorse us. Is this shit right here, Johnny?
I've kept. This is like the 5th one. Okay, I've kept everything like pretty PG. I couldn't anymore, man. I'm sorry.
Hey, well, we're moving to Kick, so who cares? I guess. You got your bikini?
I got a mankini. I don't know if I think it's a little too revealing, but.
Oh, okay. I got the ones. I
think that might go. I've got the Borat.
Oh yeah, it's like the big caveman suit, you know. I got the club too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I don't know if I want to get the bikini wax to go with it, so I'm not really committed to that idea.
I just want.
It's too revealing. Okay, I won't do it then, Jasmine. She's not okay with that. She's like, it's gonna show too much skin. I don't want you doing that.
Yeah, for the record, I've seen his skin. It's not very attractive. I'm sorry, dude. You
no.
You need more meat, dude. You look like a
pasty.
No, it's not the pastiness. It's just the lack of flesh going on in your body. You're just a skeleton, to be honest.
I'm at 200 and like 5 right now pounds. So
I don't believe
I was
you,
at 230.
I get it. I believe it, but I don't believe you. Does that make sense? Like, that's probably
Yeah.
factually true, but you're
But I'm
probably
just
lying to
such
me
an
somehow.
unbelievable lying piece of
Yes,
shit.
yes. Now you understand my point. Is
I have 2 eyes and a nose. I don't believe you.
yeah, that's the that's a funny one. I'm a guy I used to listen to a long time ago where he said, I trust the government so little that they say it's raining. I gotta go check."
And then I still don't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that looks like rain, but I don't know. It seems like bullshit to me.
Glad you acted that out for us. We couldn't picture it in our minds. Appreciate you, Johnny.
I'm a very physical kind of comedy, you know what I mean? It's my
Yeah,
forte.
it's wonderful. I
Pie in
think
the face kind of thing, you know?
I think I'm gonna have to end this, Johnny. I can't sit here anymore, and
I respect that.
the more awful jokes are coming, because I can see that your filter's going away even more, and
It's gone. We
yeah.
gotta just stop it now.
It's all since the cinnamon things, and now we're in creepy Uncle
I should have
AGI.
eaten.
Okay.
Hey,
Well,
that's Replica that did that, not me. They were already doing it.
yeah, the replica grooming bots. Okay, so thank you everyone for coming. I will be making.
Yep.
Probably have to make another Discord, but we're going
Certainly
to.
after this.
I'll be telling everyone exactly what we're going to do. Probably going to move to Kick because that sounds fun. I don't know how we're going to stream this to Kick. That's a fucking problem I have to figure out, by the way, Johnny. that's going to be weird, but we'll figure it out, and we'll be moving this yiddity yoddity whatever. I don't have any other words. I'm over it. I'm gonna end it. I'll see you guys later. I'll be putting messages up. We'll figure it out. Thank you for coming, everyone.
Yep, thanks for stopping by and hanging out.
Yep. Okay. Thank you guys. Okay. I always forget the ending this thing button's always so far away. Okay. Hold on. There you go. Watch. This is how long it got me to the stop event button. See you, everyone.